from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host Ringside Robert and England's adopted son Joe Habib, and we have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And again, I think you have to hit option 1 if you want to talk to us. Today,
correct.
Today we're going to talk about Alexander Povetkin's B sample is back. It's not good. We'll give you all the details. Is Bob Arum going to put on a Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders debate on pay-per-view, no less? We'll find out. Our train wreck of the week comes right here from Cincinnati, Ohio. A sad story. You probably have already heard it. But just a few notes before we start. You can listen to the show through Blog Talk, or you can go to Ringside Reporter and listen to it there. There's a player on the front page to listen to the show. You can download a commercial-free version of the podcast if you download from iTunes on Monday. And before we get started, I'd like to give a shout-out to our new writer, Stephen McCowan. Thank you so much for writing for us. And if anybody's ever interested in writing for the website, you can contact me on Twitter at Ringside73, and I'll go ahead and give you all the details. Now let's go ahead and get started. David Avanesyan. Did I say that right, Robert?
That's as close as you're going to get.
I say it with confidence. There you go, even though I'm probably wrong. All right.
Yeah.
Versus Shane Mosley, WBA interim welterweight champion. There's the WBA again. David Avanesyan retained his title with a 12-round unanimous decision over 44-year-old future Hall of Famer Shane Mosley on Saturday night in Glendale, Arizona. You know, this was a close fight. Both fighters had their moments, but, Mosley was actually deducted a point for a low blow in round 10. Round 12 was kind of what really went back and forth. They were very close and everything like that. But in the end, the scores were 114-113, 117-110, and 117-110 for Avanesyan, who will now face the winner of the Thurman Porter Showdown June 25th for the big WBA title. You know.
Yeah. See what this does? It makes him the mandatory. So.
Yeah. So what did you think of this fight?
Frankly, I'm glad it's over because. We don't have to see Shane Mosley on our TV anymore, I hope. Because I've got a stance as far as older fighters fighting, and if you've listened to me long enough, you know that. But on the fight itself, it was a close fight all the way through. I thought Mosley actually might have pulled it out, but he did throw a lot of low blows, and he's lucky that he only got 1 point taken away. There are several times throughout the fight he kept going low, and I don't know if it was the style of the other fighter making him do that, or whether it was something he was actually trying to do. But frankly, I don't normally say this about a boxing match, but I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad the younger guy actually won. I scored it for Mosley, but I don't mind taking a loss in this case.
What did you think? I mean, do you think that Mosley showed enough to go forward now? I mean, he actually didn't look bad. I'll be honest, though. I thought that I was expecting he was a 4-1 underdog at one point going into this bout. I completely expected Avanesyan to just roll right over him. I didn't expect it to be this tight. And I got news for you. Either one of these guys are going to have trouble with the winner of Thurman Porter.
No, Eric, to be honest, I wasn't really impressed with Avanesyan. He had a 18-year age advantage, and, when you're 27 and your opponent is 44, you want to make the older guy work as much as possible, and he didn't do enough of that. Frankly, I wonder about the level of his competition to put him in this spot, because to me it doesn't look like he's ready for prime time. I think he gets killed by either one. by either Shawn Porter or Keith Thurman. I don't think he's ready for this level.
Who do you think is a better fight against Porter or Thurman? Do you think Mosley's a better fight or Avanesyan is a better fight?
I would think Mosley, because Mosley's got the experience. He's been there. He's done that before. I think this Avanesyan character would be like a deer in the headlights moment.
He looked kind of frozen in this fight. I mean, he really kind of did, and I thought Mosley really took it to him in the early rounds. Beeb, what did you think about this?
Going into this fight, a lot of people were saying, Shane Mosley's a 2-1 underdog against an unknown fighter, but I watched Avanesyan. I saw some tape of him, and one thing that kind of made me just stay on the sidelines on this fight was I liked Avanesyan's work rate. And yes, first 2 rounds had his hand in his pocket, a little frozen. But once he got loose, you saw him, be a lot more fluid. He's tricky. He's a tricky fighter, and he changes up the rhythm of his punches and his attack pattern. So he's not predictable. He's a little crafty. May not be the quickest guy in the world. May not be the most explosive guy in the world. But he's quick enough, and he's a pretty accurate puncher. And he camouflages that right hand perfectly, tucks it right underneath the chin, puts that left shoulder in front and turns it to his right, so you really can't see when that right hand is coming out, and he's just a sneaky, sneaky fighter. And Shane Mosley's a guy who likes to fight at his own pace. He likes to, attack when he wants to attack. He usually fights at a moderate pace. He picks and chooses his spots. This guy is more fluid, he's more active throughout the course of the round. He's an activity type guy, and I thought because of that, it would have given Shane Mosley problems, and it did give Shane Mosley problems. But, I scored this fight 114 to 113 for Mosley. But if I don't take that point away in the 10th, I have it a draw. I have it a dead draw. So
that's how I would have had it, Beeb.
And you asked a question about what style would be better, or what opponent would be tougher for the winner of Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter. And I have to say, I'd slightly say Avanesyan would be because, again, he's tricky. Shane Mosley, he's a come forward type of, he's an offensive guy, and he doesn't bring the heat the whole round. He fights in spurts. Where this Avanesyan guy is tricky. He's unpredictable. He's active, constantly changing up the look, constantly changing up the attack patterns, constantly changing up the rhythm of his punches. And he's not easy to figure out. You can't always gauge what this guy's going to do. Can switch to southpaw too. So again, giving you those different looks and throwing those sneaky punches and not looking to hit a home run with the punches, but just looking to score points. And he's a pesky type fighter, and that's the type of opponent I think would be problematic for a lot of fighters. Oh, is this guy a top 10, top 5 guy? Probably not. Top 10? Maybe. Top 15? Yeah. Top 12, top 15? Yeah. I mean, he's not a journeyman. He's not a bad fighter at all. I just want to see more of him to really get a better, outlook on this guy. Have a better opinion of this guy.
Okay,
seeing him fight more.
But now that he's won this fight, Beeb, who would be a better fight for him, Porter or Thurman?
Style-wise, Thurman, because Thurman likes to use the ring. He likes to use space. I think if you make this a rough and tumble fight like Porter likes to do, I think it'd be a little bit more troublesome for Avanesyan, because you saw when Mosley got up in his chest, that's when he was having success. And Porter's going to be doing that all night. So I think he'd be a big underdog against either guy, but I think he'd have a better shot against Thurman as opposed to Porter, in my opinion.
Okay.
Do you think Avanesyan has any chance against Thurman or Porter?
Let's just say this. I'd bet everything I own and my life and my I shouldn't say this, but my unborn child that he would lose.
So Slim and None and Slim just left town.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Slim and None.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with either guy. I thought, if Shane Mosley had anything left, if this was Shane Mosley, 10 years ago, Shane Mosley, this guy wouldn't have got out of the 4th round.
Yeah, this guy would be in a box right now.
Right. And, I mean, watching like I said, man, when I saw the odds for this fight that were 4-1, and in some places it was 4-1. You know, when
Well,
I saw the odds.
It went down to 2-1 though, Eric.
A lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money came in late on Shane Mosley. But when it was up that high, I expected to see somebody spectacular. And I saw him. He was warming up at the back. He didn't look half bad. He looked pretty good, man. And he got out there, and it was just wow. He's a
pesky little fighter. This guy. He's like a little hummingbird in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a little bee.
But Eric, you asked a question earlier. Do I think that Mosley has enough to go forward? Yeah, he showed enough to continue, but to be honest, I hope he doesn't. 44-10-1 now. I don't know what more he's got to prove, and I really don't know who he can beat to get himself back in the 147-pound ratings again. Because that division is just so stacked.
Do you think that Roberto Duran made any difference at all?
I do. And I'll tell you why. Couple things I saw that Shane Mosley did pretty well in this fight. He went to the body very well. I'm sure Roberto Duran implored him to do that, and it was very successful for him in this fight, number one. And number two, I know Mayweather had criticized Mosley's jab, called it a tic-tac jab, where he would just par it out there. He did do that on occasion in this fight, but a lot of times, especially in the first two rounds, he was actually throwing that jab out there, snapping it, fully extending it, and he was throwing a real decent jab in this fight. And I thought, Roberto Duran kind of implored him to do that as well, because if you saw in the corner, Roberto Duran, he speaks a lot better English than I thought he did, and he was saying jab, 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 and he was throwing the punch himself, and he was snapping it and fully extending it, trying to show Shane Mosley how he should be throwing it. And Shane Mosley did snap the jab out, and he did go to the body too. So I think those two elements that Roberto Duran could have added to the game plan last night, no question.
Yeah, I thought Duran may have made a little bit of a difference, especially inside and with the body shots and everything like that. But and I'll ask you the same question I asked Robbie. Does he have enough, Shane Mosley, does he have enough to compete going forward, given what you saw last night? Does he have enough? Now, clearly he can compete with Avanesyan, but does he have enough going forward to compete and make it competitive? Yeah.
Honestly, he could beat top 12, top 15 guys, no question. Can he beat top 10 guys? That's a stretch. And if you can't beat the top 10 guys, and if you can't become a world champion again, see, he was already on top of the mountain.
Right.
So anything less than being on top of the mountain is kind of futile at this point.
Well, I think that's my point. I mean, can he beat any top 3 guy, a top 2 guy, a champion? I mean, I don't see him being competitive with any.
Not.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Eric, you know what's going to happen? I mean, after the fight, he looked dejected, and he wasn't even really complaining about the decision, even though the scores were wide on 2 judges' cards. But after, he's going to go home and he's going to watch this fight, and you know what he's going to say to himself? He's going to be, hey, they don't take that point away in the 10th. This is a draw.
It's a draw,
I still got it. Bring me Floyd Mayweather. Bring me Manny Pacquiao.
The worst part
Bring me Kell Brook.
Yeah, and the worst part about it, man, is like I said, if this was 10 years ago, Mosley wipes this guy out, And to fight this guy, I mean, the best he could hope for in this fight was a draw. I mean, that really is the best he could hope for. I mean, maybe he wins by 1 point, maybe. Some people have got him down. I know Robbie had him down as winning. But, I mean, it wasn't like a whitewash, by any stretch.
Well, Eric, had that point not been taken away, I would have had it a draw.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. Well, let's talk about another Mosley on the card. What's that?
Excuse me for a second. What did your scorecard look like?
I had
cut you off.
116-111. 116-111 for Avanesyan.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Wow. So that 117-110 card really isn't out of line in your opinion then?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Wow.
No, I thought, I tell you, I thought that, Mosley controlled a lot of the action early on. I think in the first couple rounds he looked great. And then it was almost like Avanesyan caught him in the sense that he kind of caught on to what he was doing, and he just seemed like a busier fighter. Mosley was moving, Mosley was doing him, but Mosley seemed to tire. To me, he looked like he was getting more fatigued as the fight went on, and not fatigued like he couldn't get up and go, but he just didn't have the same kind of energy because, he's 44, and that's a big difference.
Anyway, you want to talk about Mosley Jr., right,
Yeah,
Eric?
let's talk about Shane Mosley Jr. versus Roberto Young. Mosley Jr. won a unanimous, or a majority, decision over Robert Young. His scores were 57 up, 59-55, and 58-56. What did you guys think of Mosley Jr.?
Well, that's the first time I've seen him. I thought he looked pretty good. I want to see more of him to see what kind of future he has. I've only seen him for 6 rounds, but I thought he looked okay, and I thought he won the fight.
And he's on a 5-fight winning streak now. I think he was 1-1 and then went on a 5-fight winning streak.
Yeah, now he's 6-1.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't know. I mean, and I'll hand it over to Beeb here in a second, man. But he doesn't look to me like he's ready for, like he's going to be able to go on any kind of run. I don't know. I could be wrong. He looked okay, but again, he's only 7 fights in, so it's hard to be critical. It's like me being critical of Devin Haney, who's only got 5 or 6 fights. So it's kind of tough to be uber critical of Shane Mosley. Beeb, what did you think of him?
Yeah, he's still fighting 6 rounders, so obviously there's a lot to learn. Thought he stood straight up a lot, didn't move his head a lot. Not too bad offensively. He's got a pretty solid jab, pretty good right hand. He's got a little pop in his punches, but doesn't look too sophisticated offensively. A little bit predictable. Loads up with shots a little bit. At times, just keeps his hands like glued to the sides of his face, and he gets caught with shots up the middle a lot. So he seems like he's trying to fight like his father a lot, but he just doesn't have the physical gifts that his father had. He's not that fire plug type of guy. He's a tall guy that's trying to fight small. In other words,
right.
Even though he stands straight up, he's trying to get inside more often than fully extend his punches and fight on the outside, which would be more suitable to a guy who's 6'1" and a guy who's got a 77-inch reach. So he should use those physical gifts that he has and be a better fighter from the outside. But seems like he just wants to get up in his opponent's chest and go to war. And there's not really too much, as I said, sophistication to his offense. He's just going in there and he's throwing short, choppy shots and somewhat flailing away on the inside. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, there's still time for him to develop. He's a young kid, 25 years old. We'll see what happens. Not overly impressed, but not totally going to say that there's no potential for him at all. So I'm kind of midway with this guy. I don't know just yet, but there's nothing that I see so far that jumps out at me that says, wow, he's going to be a star someday.
We have to see more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he looked very sloppy to me. I mean, I got to be honest, man. I thought he looked very sloppy. I thought he kind of stepped in with his punches. When he steps in, he was smothering the guy, and he was smothering his punches on the way.
Exactly. So,
and a lot of those shots, like I said, man, a lot of those shots were load up. You could see him coming. And the guy he was fighting, Young, apparently was an MMA fighter as well. So he was kind of making transitions. He was a boxer, then an MMA, then he's back to boxing. And, he knows his way around the ring for sure. And maybe it could have been that guy. He definitely had more experience than him. So maybe it could have been just a bad opponent. I don't know. But, he looked real sloppy to me. I thought that he wings a lot of his shots. I thought his footwork could use a little work. He could use some distancing and stuff like that. He didn't distance properly. But again, man, I feel really bad, critiquing a guy who's only had 8 fights too. He's got a long way to go.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and he's been boxing. But he's only been boxing. When you think about it, 16. That's late. That is really late. When you start boxing and stuff. You really think about champions and stuff like that. You hear about fight. Look at Mayweather was born in the gym, So, guys that start out, they're usually about 10 years old. That's kind of like the 10, 12 years old right there. But 16,
yep.
16's kind of late, man. 16's kind of late. But, we'll see where he goes. Hopefully he's got really good people around him, that's for sure. You got Shane Mosley and Roberto Duran and good trainers and all that other good stuff. So, yeah, he's got definitely got it around him for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the PBC card. We had the main event here, Eric Bonet versus Miguel Vasquez. I got to tell you, I hated this card. I thought it was just awful. Vasquez worked behind a strong jab and brought the fight to Bonet throughout the main event. Bonet fought back and was effective at times when countering. I expected a lot more out of Eric Bonet, but I guess I just kind of have to put that on the, on the side because I think Bonet is just acting as a gatekeeper for the PBC in a lot of ways. But in all fairness, though, he got this fight on short notice too. So, which I wish, I'd like to see him get a full camp for a fight and see how it goes. Vasquez used a really good jab throughout the fight. Like I said, man, Bonet fought really effective at times on countering, but overall, man, it was Vasquez all the way on here. Scores were 99-91, 97-93, 96-94, all for Vasquez. It was definitely competitive. But once again, man, I want to see Eric Bonet in a full camp. I want to see him, just have a fair shot at this and not be called in as a sub and not be called in as a second guy in there and not know what he's getting into.
Now, you watched Miguel Vasquez. I've seen him at 135, and of course he was a champion there for quite some time. Is he, with the way he fights, Eric, since you watched this fight, is he going to be successful at 140 pounds, or is he going to get eaten up by, the top people in that division?
I don't know. After the fight, he called out Adrian Broner, and which that would be a very difficult fight for him, especially since Broner can't make 140. But Vasquez, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see him again against a solid fighter, and not that Bonet's not a solid fighter, but again, he hasn't had a solid camp to perform. So I want to see him against a solid guy who's at a solid camp. It's to me, it's kind of unfair to criticize Bonet in this because, again, it's just like the Porter fight where they get him on short notice
Yeah.
Well, the big disadvantage he had in this fight was foot speed. He was going to be chasing Vasquez all night, and he's just so dogged and determined that at some point he is going to catch up to him, but he just can't continue to catch up with him each and every time. So he can't cut off those escape doors, the back door that Vasquez likes to run out of every time a guy traps him up against the ropes. He's just so slippery. He knows how to escape when someone's pressuring him. And Bonet brings the fight every time he fights. He's a exciting fighter. He's an all-out aggressive type guy. Keeps coming forward. He just doesn't have any of those special attributes that can really trouble somebody, but he could make the fight competitive and interesting. So, yeah, he is sort of like that token, I hate to use that word gatekeeper, but he is sort of like that token gatekeeper, opponent type guy where, he's the guy you have to pass through to get to that next level, so to speak. And, Vasquez has a very unique style. He's got a very unorthodox style. He's got a lot of herky-jerky movement, throws punches from odd angles, and just throws really. He's just a weird fighter when you really want to get down to it.
Right.
To put it bluntly, and I think because of that, he can steal rounds. He can make the fight ugly. He can make a good fighter frustrated at times. So, can he beat Can he beat someone like Terrence Crawford? I would probably say not, but it would be interesting to see. Just be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think so too. He's got a lot of, like I said, his foot speed, everything like that. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, but I want to see him go up against, like I said, man, somebody solid in that division who's at a full camp. It's a full card, and we're going to go with it. You know what I mean? It's hard to judge either fighter by this, and I know he gets paid from the PBC. I know Bonet gets paid from the PBC and everything, man. But I wish they would do right by this guy. Give him a full camp. Give him a fair shot to work his way up because he's not a bad fighter. He's a good fighter. I just want to see him get that shot.
I agree.
Yep, I can't argue with that.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the phones here. Once again, if you want to call in, the number here is 323-870-3857. And we're going to go from Joe in Indy. Joe, are you online?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. Eric, Robbie, B. Hey, B, real quick, I don't know if you got to see, man. I just been blowing up on Twitter. Who's this guy, Tony? Is it Bellew that just knocked out
Tony Bellew?
Yeah, Tony Bellew. 3 rounds, man. And I'm hearing that was a fight.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, guys, well, let me start off first, man. I've been becoming a diehard boxing fan basically since 2007, but the last 3 years I've really been following it closely, and it really bothers me that the way these promoters get these guys and the mismatches are getting ridiculous, man. These two CBS cards, Friday night especially, and then even last night, man, I mean, some of these mismatches are just ridiculous. Like, these guys, I mean, I'm thinking of their value, long term. These guys, 10 years from now, did you guys catch that CBS card Friday?
Yes, I did.
I mean, there was one fight that had a round that was great, but besides that, everything else was just a total mismatch.
Oh, that whole card was...
I don't know, man.
That Friday card was not good. It was one
Joe,
knockout after another.
But Joe and Robbie, let me just interject for one brief moment. That's how you build fighters, unfortunately. And but someone once told me, if you're going to build a fighter, build them off TV. If you're not going to put them in there with
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I feel like those should be like club fights. Those shouldn't be broadcast on live TV, man. I mean, even Shane Jr., I don't think he was worthy enough to be on TV yesterday. And he's got so much. He's still wet behind the ears. I thought that guy was going to take him out in one of those rounds.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
I think the problem you have, Joe, is the PBC has put so much boxing on TV. Other promoters feel pressured. Hey, if they're going to offer all their stuff, we have to do the same thing. So I think that's why we're seeing some of these fights. Big Baby Miller was in the ring Friday night weighing 283 pounds, and the other guy looked like a cruiserweight next to him, and it was awful,
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, Robbie. It looks like Big Miller didn't even want to hit him. Like, he was just hitting him in the stomach so he wouldn't, take his head off.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I feel bad for these fighters, man, because those fighters that are taking the beatings, anybody that puts on gloves, man, they earn my respect already. That's hard sport, man. And these guys are getting hit in front of their families, their kids, and they're going home with, it's just. I wish there was something that could be done. I mean, these guys' records. If you look at this card, guys, some of these records were like 15 wins and 20 losses going against. It's crazy.
Well, the first fight they had, the opponent was 11-23-2 or something like that, and it was like,
how does that even get sanctioned? That's what I was
going to ask, Eric, because I heard it was the Indian Athletic Commission that sanctioned that fight on Saturday.
See, they had on Friday they had it at an Indian casino. Saturday it was actually in an arena, so different circumstance. But when you have these fights at Indian casinos, you see a lot of things that you don't normally see. And I felt bad for the CBS crew that was there announcing it on Friday, because how do you make a mismatch sound interesting to the public? I mean, I really felt bad for all three of those guys.
Yeah, they had to sell that fight bad. I mean, that's their job, man, but they had to sell it. But at the end of the day, my heart goes out. I always root for the underdogs, man, and the guys who had to come up, who grew up rough and in poverty and stuff. And to see a lot of those guys just get knocked down and just get beat up, it was just sad. And I was like, man, I wish someone could step up and do something. And as for sure, the Shane Mosley, I don't know, Robbie. We talked about this last week, Robbie, when I called you. He's come in with this new attitude where he's on social media going at everybody, talking this and talking that. I don't know, man. I wish he would just retire. Or you guys still think he can compete? I think he can compete, guys, against, and this is no disrespect to these legends because I like them a lot, but I think he can go against guys like Zav Judah and Paulie, guys like that. But if you put him in there, like you said, Beeb, against a top 10 opponent, he's gonna get his head taken off, man. Father Time's just undefeated. That's reality.
Well, like I said on my podcast, that people didn't like my comments. Certain fighters have an expiration date, like you have on your milk carton, and I think his is pretty much past.
Yeah, he's not beating anybody top 5. He's not beating anybody top 5. No way.
And Eric, let me ask you this. Well, I mean, it's crazy to think. Well, how long ago was it when Mosley fought Mayweather? Was that like 5 years ago?
I think that was 2010.
2010,
okay.
yeah. 6 years ago.
All right,
yeah.
Okay, guys, let's fast forward to last night in Arizona. It was a great night, but man, the crowd, nobody even showed up. They kept showing the camera views in the arena. It was so empty. I felt bad. It's like, man, so this is what it's come to.
Right, this is a guy who was selling out arenas. I mean, this guy was selling out arenas. Yeah, this guy was selling out arenas, and he shows up there, and there's nobody there, and he's the main event. You know, I mean, yeah, it's not good, man.
I mean, hell, he's the only fighter in history that ever beat Oscar De La Hoya twice.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a legend.
I feel like he deserved a little bit more respect. I wish, and I bet you those tickets were reasonably priced. He could have probably got a front row seat for like $100, $150. But
Joe, we should have flew out there, Joe. Joe, we should have flew out there.
I'll tell you what. Hey,
why were we there, Joe?
That's where I want to end up in a few years is Arizona, man. That's where my favorite basketball team plays. So if things go right, that's where I'll be living at in the future.
Let's go, Joe!
But hey, let's switch it up. Let's get a little positive here, man. I know I went on a little rant. I'm just concerned for some of these fighters, man. I love the sport so much, and to see these guys get dogged out like that, it is frustrating. But there's some big action coming up this weekend. I know you guys will probably preview the fights this weekend, but we got who's the Salido and Vargas coming up this Saturday? And
yeah.
That's going to be, I mean, that's the one where everybody's talking about it's going to be the fight of the year, right?
Well,
Liam Smith fighting this weekend, too. Betterbeeve's fighting this weekend. A lot of good fights, man, yeah. But, yeah, that's the marquee fight is the Clenbuterol fight between Salido and Vargas.
Right.
For the VADA title, the undisputed VADA title.
That's right.
Hey, Robbie, you feel like that fight shouldn't even be happening, right?
Well, you know, when it was first announced, I was all excited for it because I think it's a great fight. But let's be honest, since he failed a test, in my opinion, this fight should not be happening. But I understand why it is, but it dulls my excitement for a good fight.
There's a cloud over this fight. There's a cloud over this fight. It's not going to go away.
No.
Yeah. Hey, B, can you? I'm going to watch the card later, but you know, who was the promoter of the Bellew fight? The guy that just won, was it?
Matchbox. Matchroom.
Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, that's Eddie Hearn.
Promoter in boxing right now.
Oh, get out of here! The best promoter in boxing. Come on, man. Come on, son.
Eddie Hearn. 14 world champions. UK.
14 world champions.
Hey,
Eric, where's that clip? Got to play that clip.
What clip? Beebs, God Save the Queen?
Yeah.
Can't do it till the segment, son. We're holding off.
Right.
We're putting on ice till the segment, son. We're
saving it.
We're saving it.
Hey, Beeb, can you enlighten me? Like, why was he dissing? He was dissing Box Nation during the interview after the fight.
Who, Tony Bellew?
Yeah, he was dissing. What's
Really?
the other box? Yeah, I couldn't understand.
It's either Sky Sports or Box Nation with the other two, I think.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, I think it was because Sky Sports. I think that was on that fight.
Because Eddie Hearn has an affiliation with.
Yeah,
it had to be Box Nation. Yeah.
It was Box Nation. I don't know why.
There is a rivalry. There's a rivalry between those two. Yeah, there's a rivalry between Box Nation and the other one. Match.
Well, hey, it's just like Showtime and HBO, man. They have a rivalry, and so does Sky Sports and Box Nation. So there you go.
Hey guys, all right. One more thing. I think about the boxing this weekend. It's sad that the most talked about thing related to boxing was the beef between Mario Lopez and that one guy that does those videos. I forget his name.
Ellie Sekbak. What was that? You know what?
I
don't know.
Publicity.
What happened with those two? I saw Steve Kim tweet it out, but
basically what happened, what I'm getting from it is that Ellie basically, Mario took a lot of heat for taking a picture with Donald Trump. Okay, so the media, the Facebook and Twitter just jumped on him for that. And then Ellie came out and I guess said that when he's sparring at the wild card, he tells fighters not to hit him in the face. So that's where I started. I believe he tweeted out something saying that, he can't take it in the face. And then I guess Mario got back to it. And then Mario called him out on Twitter, say, hey, tough guy, you know, if you tough, get in the ring with me. We can see it. Then Ali's going back.
He don't want that. He don't want that.
Yeah, he's
don't want that.
Mario Lopez can fight, man. Mario Lopez can fight. I'm telling you right now, he can fight.
He ain't no joke, Mario.
But
no, he can fight.
My point my point on that is that should not be. I should not be talking about that. You know, that's irrelevant. But it's sad that I am talking about that.
Why?
Go ahead, Joe. The fight of the weekend, and what's being really talked about, if you go on Twitter right now, Tony the Bomber Bellew!
Oh, my God.
World champion UK!
They've lost it, son.
Hey, Eric, what about Ricky Burns? Did he win yesterday?
Yeah, Ricky Burns won. He was the 13th, Bellew was the 14th, yeah.
That's right, baby.
Champions, yeah. UK's on fire, man.
UK's doing it. Well, guys, that's my call. Sorry it wasn't so positive this week, man. I was just kind of setting up some things, but, you know, stuff happens.
Eric, you know what I'm wearing right now? I'm wearing my Union Jack embroidered right now while I'm doing this show. That's how pumped I am.
If you go to Ringside Reporter on the right-hand side, we got a link to Beating the Odds with Beeb. And it's a Union Jack with his name on it.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Eric, before I get out of here, I bet you right now Robbie's smiling like crazy because San Jose is in a Stanley Cup and Golden State forced the Game 7.
Man, let me tell you what. He's just delaying. All they're doing is just delaying the party, son. LBJ and the Cavs, son.
Day, man.
Ohio, baby.
Yeah.
Ohio NBA champs right now. LBJ, King James is going down. I don't care who's in the final. I don't care who's in the final, son. Doesn't matter. It's all over but the crying.
Okay, we'll see.
You guys take care, man. Good talking.
All right, see you later.
All right, man. We'll talk to you. Thanks for calling.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's go to 716, New York. 716, you're on the air.
716, on the air. Unmuted.
716, you're online.
I can hear myself.
All right, he's listening. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. All right, so let's go back to the fights now. Let me talk about my man. All right, I'm not Ruenroeng versus John Riel Casimero. I've been calling this over and over again. I want to see Ruenroeng versus Chocolatito. That's what I've been saying all this time.
I think that'd be a good fight. Did he win, Eric?
I think it would have been a good fight prior to Wednesday because in a sudden and shocking turnaround, John Casimero turned the tables on undefeated defending champ and former conqueror. I'm not Ruenroeng. In the fourth round, they fought before. Ruenroeng beat him. Ruenroeng knocked him down, roughed him up, and everything like that in the first fight. Not so much in the second fight. This was a good one, man. And I remember I set the fight to Joe. Joe, you watched the fight. Ruenroeng was dominating that fight. He wasn't dominating the fight. I don't know if he was dominating. He was definitely winning that fight big. He won all 3 rounds, and he got clipped. I mean, clipped with one of the best left hands you're likely to see right on the jaw. He didn't see it. He didn't see it coming. No. I had to rewind that thing a couple of times so I could see it. I didn't see it happening, man. Next thing I know, this guy's on the floor. He gets back up, and he almost makes it out of the round because Casimero was so sloppy going for that finish, man. But ultimately, he got him, and that body shot, that hook to the body. Ooh, man. I'll tell you what, I felt that thing, man. He just sank to the canvas. The guy counted 10. 2:10 to the fourth round, man. This was a good fight. If you didn't catch it, go download it, do something. But yeah, this was good.
The funny thing about this whole fight was, Ruenroeng is such a technical boxer, doesn't make too many mistakes, likes to throw a little bit of that WWE shit in there every now and then. Well, he doesn't need it. He can box. We all know that. And he was controlling this fight from the outside against Casimero easily. He was just picking him apart from the outside easily in the first 3 rounds. And then, the funny thing in boxing, you make one mistake and it can erase all the good things you've done prior to that one mistake. And
he sure did. He made a big one. Yeah, he made a big one.
That was one of the most beautiful left hand. That reminded me of, what's his name there? The guy that lost to Rigondeaux. The other Filipino. The Filipino flash.
Donaire.
Donaire. Donaire versus, who's the Mexican guy that he beat?
Vic Darcinian?
No, the other guy, the Mexican guy. He landed a counter left hook and he knocked him out.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, I forget his name, but he knocked him out, and that reminded me of that fight. It was like almost the same type of punch. It was such a beautiful left hook.
It was such a good counter, man. I mean, such a good counter. That guy didn't even see it, and he never recovered. He never recovered from it. And he almost got out of the round. It happened so early in the round. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's it.
I can't believe I forgot that. I must be getting old. I got to start taking my ginkgo biloba. But, second round, man, like that was the same type of scenario if you really look at it. It was like counter left hook, boom. He took him right out of there. What a fight. It
was such a good fight, man. And, I mean, it was such a perfectly timed punch. And, again, man, he never saw it coming, and he never recovered. I was surprised he got up from that. But that body shot that he got hit with at the end, ooh, man, that was rough. You just felt that, man. That was awful. So now I'm clamoring for Casimero versus Chocolatito. But I tell you right now, I think that Chocolatito runs over Casimero. I still want to see Ruenroeng versus Chocolatito because, like I said, man, Ruenroeng is such a technician in there. I think he could give Chocolatito fits. But honestly, man, I don't know that anybody is going to give Chocolatito fits right now. But if there's going to be a guy, I think he's the guy.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Would a third fight between these two guys be out of line now?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think I'd like to see this again.
I would too, man. I would absolutely watch this again. This was such a good fight. That first fight was really sloppy. It was poorly reffed. Ruenroeng ended up, I guess, Ruenroeng roughed him up. They were roughing each other up. Ruenroeng ultimately won the fight. But, man, and he was winning this fight. He was winning every round. I mean, he wasn't blowing the guy out, but he was clearly winning the rounds. So,
yeah, man.
I don't know, man. I'd like to see it again. Yeah, I want to see it again. Let's talk about, we were just talking about him a little bit ago, Gerald Big Baby Miller versus Nick Guivas. He came in 6'4", 283 pounds is Big Baby, aptly named, and dropped Guivas twice in round one and two more times in round two. The time was 126. Miller wins by KO. Let me ask you a question here, and this goes out to both of you. The UFC has their heavyweight division, I think they put a cap on 260 pounds.
265, actually.
Is it 265? Okay, 265.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Should they do the same thing in boxing?
No.
Why?
I don't think it's needed because we've seen guys like Evander Holyfield and David Haye beat guys that outweigh them by 60, 70 pounds. So I still think this is a skill sport first. I think size plays a factor, but I don't think it plays as big a factor as people tend to say it does. And I think at the end of the day, a skilled fighter will beat a bigger guy if he's a better fighder. So it's not always the biggest.
You think for safety reasons, though, whether it's a guy's health, I mean, he's not exactly chiseled at 283 pounds.
Well, then you go back into the question: should there be a super heavyweight division? So
Well, actually, Steve brought that up on the broadcast because remember he was ringside for that fight, and he said there is talk about possibly establishing a super heavyweight division, and it's because of fights like this. Every time I've seen Miller fight, he's always been in the 280s, and I think he would be a lot more effective if he was about 260.
Right.
There's no reason for him to be in the 280s. I'd like to see him about 260 and see how effective he would be.
And to be perfectly honest with you, Eric, let's take a look. Again, numbers are numbers. They are what they are. But let's take a look at the most successful boxers in the sport, right? Most of them are, even the big ones are around 245, 250-ish. There's no, with the exception of Nikolai Bellew, who was 7'1", he weighed close to 300 pounds. With the exception of him, most of the big names in the sport were around 245, 250. So I think that what you're going to see now is guys who normally would be in the 210 to 215 range, they're probably going to try to become cruiserweights. And, most of the heavyweights are going to be pretty much the same size, in my opinion. So these guys who are 280, 290, it's probably, in my opinion, as Robbie kind of alluded to, it's an artificial weight. It's a weight that it's not a functional weight, if you will. It's just basically a guy who needs to train down to be at a more effective weight. And let's be honest, Big Baby would be more suited to weigh in at about 245, 250, realistically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion.
No, I think he's got all the skills, but I honestly think he's eating his way out of using them.
Yeah.
He needs.
Good point, Robbie.
Yeah.
He's on fire tonight. He's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely is.
I think he's got the skills to compete with the Wilders and the Furies and people like that. But stay away from the table, man. Hire a nutritionist,
Wow. Robbie just called him fat.
Robbie!
That's mean,
Robbie,
man. That's cold-blooded. That's fat shaming him, son. What's the matter with you, son?
Shaming, Robbie.
He's got the nicest things to say about you, too, man. That's messed up, man.
Come on, Robbie.
That's jacked up, man.
What
messed
baby ever
up,
do to
boy.
you, man?
Yeah,
Robbie?
seriously.
What baby ever do to you?
Yeah, right?
He's
probably listening to the show right
okay.
now, just hung up. You know what I mean? What's the matter with you?
Yeah, all right.
All right, let's talk about Donnie Nietes versus Raul Garcia. I watched this fight. This was pretty one-sided, man. Nietes looked really good and ended up stopping Garcia at the end of the 5th round. Garcia couldn't answer the bell for the 6th. Another one. This was pretty one-sided. B, what'd you think of this one?
This was a firefight, and Nietes definitely did some good work in there. He varied up his attack, and boy, was he killing Garcia to the body. Oh, my God.
He's the real deal, man. That guy is something else, man.
I was feeling those body shots. Credit to Garcia, though. He kept coming forward. He actually landed a few good right hands. He landed a few good right hands, but Nietes was like he was like the Texas tornado in there, the Tasmanian devil, like in there. He was just swarming Garcia from all angles. He was going upstairs, downstairs, and the attack was it was like a blanket of punches. And Garcia just couldn't fend them off at the end of the day. And you just saw every time Nietes dug to the body of Garcia, he got a look of anguish out of Garcia's face. It was just so painful for him to have to endure those body shots, and that became his undoing, and he just couldn't continue. He wouldn't continue because he was not going to subject himself to that beating anymore. And I don't blame him. I probably would have took the back door myself as well.
All right, so now Donnie Nietes is 108 pounds. Does he move up to 112 and go after guys like Ruenroeng, Gonzalez, Chocolatito, Juan Francisco Estrada, and now the new Casimero?
I think it's an option if he wants to be in a big money fight.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing with these little guys now is they're becoming very exciting fighters. I mean, they're not the little guys had a knock on them that they weren't big punchers, and they're just guys who just threw a lot of punches, like two little hummingbirds in there going at it.
I mean, the only little guy that ever got really big publicity here in the United States was Michael Carbajal.
Yeah. And he was a big puncher. But it seems like all these guys are pretty action-packed type fighters, and they all possess pretty decent punching power for their size. So, I'm excited a little bit about these lower weight divisions, the flyweights and the junior flyweights. Before, I wasn't really watching these guys as much as I'm starting to watch them now. And shout out to people on YouTube putting these fights up, and even the networks even the networks are starting to show these fights now. So even shout out to a boxing fan named Naota, guy who used to call into a lot of the podcasts that I was a part of, because he's opening a lot of people's eyes to these smaller fighters, and he's helped me a lot get kind of educated with these lower weight fighters, and I'm excited about these flyweight divisions, the junior flyweight, super flyweight divisions. I'm excited.
People don't realize everything below 118 is just stacked. I mean, they don't realize that 118, 115, 112, 108, they're all stacked, man.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, Robert, we got to do it.
Okay.
We have to do it now. You know what we got to do here? All right, listen up here now. We got to do it. We got to suffer through Beeb and his love affair with the UK. So we might as well just get into it here. Michel DeRocco versus Ricky Burns. Michel DeRocco fought 99% of his fights in Italy. although he's fought one in Spain and one in Finland. The rest he's fought in Italy. So you knew he was going to have trouble the first time. You know, he's going to have a rough time coming to England, and he sure did. Rocco did very well, I thought. In the first couple of rounds, he looked pretty good. He was moving, throwing his jab. But eventually, Burns caught up to him, and it almost looked like Rocco was actually getting tired in there around the third or fourth round. He was actually starting to slow down. Burns was definitely putting in the harder shots, especially down the stretch. Ricky Burns really asserted himself at the end of the sixth. He landed some hard, very hard right-hand shots at the end of those sixth. He put together a couple of right hands that really, really made him uncomfortable in there, really made Rocco uncomfortable in there. They were spot on. 2 minutes into the eighth, Ricky Burns landed a good combination that put Rocco on the floor. Rocco got up quickly, but you could tell he was in no shape to continue. Now, while it was a good combination, there was nothing in there that I said, wow, that was a crazy shot he got caught with. I think it was just an accumulation of shots that put him on the floor. He got up. He couldn't do much else after that, and then the fight was stopped. He was stumbling around. He was in no shape to continue. Ricky Burns becomes the another champion for the UK.
And they said he was shot, but he wasn't shot. And the beef has a little bit of Italian blood. The beef has a little bit of Italian blood in him. But guess what? Yeah. I have more UK blood. So this is why, you know, Ricky Burns is a guy you root for. And I'm gonna tell you a story about Ricky Burns. But this is a fighter who was actually, someone said this to me, and I don't know how true it is, but I suspect it is true because I don't think this source would lie to me. Ricky Burns, when he was a fighter, used to work at a sporting goods store just to make ends meet. So he wasn't really being financially compensated properly as a fighter. So this is a guy who stuck with it, even though he had to work a job at the same time as being a boxer, from what I was told. And this is a guy who stuck with it thick and thin, through thick and thin. People wrote him off so many times. People said he was done. And he keeps coming back, baby. And he becomes a world champion once again. Number 13, or even number 14. I don't know which one it was.
He was number 13. He was number 13.
He was number 13.
Now, I hate to rain on your parade, but I'm going to. And I hate to rain on the UK's parade, but I'm going to. Ricky Burns, and they said he was a shot fighter, and you know, maybe not. And clearly, he looked pretty good in this fight, I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, he looked sharp.
But he was fighting Michel Rocco, who hasn't fought a soul. I mean, he really hasn't. He hasn't fought outside of Italy. He's fought outside of Italy three times now. He hasn't had very good opposition. How is this fight for a belt?
He's the
Italian stallion. Well, how many stallions? There's no stallions in Italy.
A question for both of you. Isn't Burns fighting at 140?
Yes.
This fight was
140. How would you like to see a matchup with Ricky Burns and Miguel Vasquez?
I think Burns hands over his title if it's not in the UK.
I think Burns beats him.
I think if it's in the UK, Burns beats him. You know what? I don't even know, though. I tell you what, I don't know. I don't know if Burns wins that fight either way.
Because remember, Burns has fought over here in the U.S. on PBC cards. So, because you were talking about how you want to see Vasquez against a real fighter.
I think that's a real fighter right there. Yeah, that's a real fighter right there.
There you go. There you go.
Get Al on the horn. See if we can put this together.
Okay.
Robbie's got Al's personal number.
If that was the case, we'd be asking Al lots of questions.
Well, let's put this fight into perspective. Eric, you make a great point. Rocco was not the best opposition that Ricky Burns could have faced for this title, but people were really writing Ricky Burns off, saying he was very far gone. He was. People even called him a shot fighter.
Yeah,
but
that's harsh.
When you look at a shot fighter, you see signs of the reflexes being gone, the timing being gone. Him taking shots that really aren't that hard, but feeling the effects of them. And we didn't see any of that in this fight. The timing was perfect. He was throwing a beautiful overhand right, and he was throwing it from a distance, and he was throwing it from up close, and he was shortening up, turning it over properly, and he was catching Rocco's shots, and after catching the shots, then he was firing off on his own combinations. And, he was really fighting a very smart tactical fight. He saw everything that Rocco was throwing. He defended well, caught the shots, and as soon as he caught the shots, he wasted no time in firing right back and finding the openings, threading the needle with that right hand, and he could not miss Rocco with the right hand because he kept varying up, how he was throwing it. He was throwing it up close, throwing it from a distance. He's throwing it straight, throwing it overhand. I just thought that he looked very sharp overall with the way he was throwing his punches and the way he was defending. And he just kept fighting. He didn't get tired at all. And a guy like Ricky Burns was off for a little bit. He didn't look rusty at all. I mean, he did better and looked better than I anticipated, to be quite honest with you.
Now, which title does Burns have now, Eric?
This was the vacant WBA title.
Yeah.
This was the title. This is the title that Broner was stripped of because he missed weight.
Oh, okay, all right.
Against Theopane. Yes.
Was that the title?
No,
was that the title Broner was stripped of? I thought the Vasquez fight was. Well, no. I guess you're right.
No,
you're right. I'm
Remember
sorry.
Broner fought Theopane?
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
All right. So let me ask you. Even in the first couple of rounds, you didn't have any. You thought that Burns was going to take this fight?
I thought he won the first couple rounds.
Really?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't think he lost a round in this fight. Maybe he won.
I thought, maybe so, man. But I thought Rocco had the first couple rounds easy. I thought he was moving real well.
So?
Yeah, I thought he was moving real well.
But I didn't think he was landing.
I thought he was popping his jab out and moving him. Yeah.
I thought Burns was catching a lot of the shots on his gloves. And the thing is Rocco was not the quickest guy in the world.
No.
And he kept dropping his hands. And if you're not a quick guy, you don't have exceptional reflexes, you can't keep dropping your hands like that. And he kept dropping his left hand.
Did you think Rocco got tired after because I thought he started to tire around the third or fourth round and got slower.
Well, the reason why was I think he was putting so much effort early on to being aggressive, and I think he really overshot his adrenaline in the early rounds. I think he was fighting a lot off of emotion. You can see it in his face that he was just fighting really hard, and he was really, really intense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some guys, will come forward and like Gennady Golovkin is a very aggressive fighter, but he's poker faced. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like he's riding a bike. It's a walk in the park for him. It's just common nature to him to do that. Rocco seemed like he was making a concerted effort to try and take it to Burns. And I think because of that, I think he got tired. And also a combination of things of Burns landing hard shots. Like every shot that Burns landed flush, and he was landing that right hand so flush and clean. I think the accumulation of that also played a part in him getting tired as well. Yeah. But, we can agree to disagree a little bit here. I respect your opinion, but I just thought, even though he was coming forward early on in this fight, I still thought Burns was picking off most of the shots.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So, all right.
That's a good United States UK debate right there.
There you go. All right. So
I'm still going to send you a Christmas card, even though.
Let's talk about the undercard on that. We had Conor Benn, son of former world champ Nigel Benn, took a full round decision over Luke Keller. Looked like Luke Keller, who was 2-5-1, and Conor Benn improved to 2-0-1. Conor Benn just fought, didn't he? I believe he just fought.
I got to check that.
I think he just.
I haven't been following him too much, but I should be.
He just fought and just won. It was like a few weeks ago. I thought. I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought.
Is Conor anything like his dad, Eric?
I didn't see the fight. I'm hearing really good things about him, though. But honestly, again, without seeing him, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know too much. And then 2012 Olympic middleweight bronze medalist Anthony Ogogo won by third round stoppage over Chris Herman. Chris Herman is 21-11 with 12 KOs. Anthony Ogogo proves to 9-0 with 5 knockouts. And this was one of those ones that, like I said, it was it's a building fight for Ogogo. A lot is heaped on his shoulders right now. They are expecting quite a bit from this guy. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Keep an eye on him.
You can call us at 323-870-3857. If you want to chime in right now, we're going to go to 469. That's Dallas. I believe it's Dallas. 469, you're on. 469. Going once, twice, and we're out. All right. Good deal. All right, Robbie.
Yep.
You know what time it is, don't you? We have to suffer through it again. We have to suffer through it again. Tony Bellew versus Ilungu Makabu. I think that's how you say it. I didn't see the fight, and I can't wait to see the fight. All right, because it just ended a little bit ago.
I'm I'm sorry I sent it to you so late. I got it late myself.
You know what? I didn't even know you sent it to me. That's how much attention I'm paying to this.
No, I sent it to you.
Awesome. Tony Bellew was down in the first round from a big counter from Makabu. In the second round, it was back and forth. And, Beeb, I know you'll elaborate on this in a few minutes. But in the third, Bellew caught him with a monster left hand. And from what I understand, he was out cold. So Bellew becomes a new cruiserweight champ. He is now the 14th champion from the UK. Beeb, did you actually catch the fight? Were you able to catch the fight before?
I did watch the fight right before we came on. I got the fight late. Shout out to Davey Boy Essex, as always, hooking me up.
Davey Boy Essex, where are you? How come you're not hooking me up?
I'm going to start hooking you up. I got to have him add you to the contact list.
Yeah,
He's going to start adding you to the contact. And I'm sure he will. He's a good bloke. He's a good bloke, as we like to say in the UK.
As we like to say.
Well, he'll send you the fights, but this was a Hagler Hearns cruiserweight version, Daddy. This was like
I heard it was good, man.
All stations go here. Makabu first round, boom! What a left hand, put Bellew on the seat of his pants. Bellew got up though.
Was Bellew almost out? Was Bellew almost out in that first round?
You know, it was such a clean shot. It was such a hard shot, and you would think that Bellew would get up on shaky legs, but he looked okay. He was able to finish out the round on pretty decent footing. He didn't look too bad. Second round, it was just nip and tuck. I thought Bellew just kind of edged it. And the third round, Bellew just jumped in his chest, man. Oh, my God. Left-right combination. Put him down, and it was just over, man. I mean, he was on him like a hornet, man. I mean, Bellew just went at him in that third round, sort of like what Hagler did to Hearns in the third round of their fight. And this had some shades of that fight a little bit. And Bellew, another guy, a lot of people have wrote off. And there's been times when I've seen him fight at cruiserweight, looked a little bit soft, but he looked in really good shape for this fight. Looked like he's finally distributed the weight well at cruiserweight. Really, his frame has adapted to fighting at this weight class. And, this was just a great fight. And Makabu, a lot of people were thinking he was going to beat Bellew. Definitely a knockout artist. I believe 18 knockouts in 20 fights. So this guy is no joke at all. Definitely a formidable opponent. But a lot of people, as I said, were writing Bellew off. And Bellew just rose to the occasion. And guess what? He became our 14th world champion. Shout out to Tony Bellew. Shout out to Eddie Hearn. Our 14th. Shout out to Eddie Hearn, baby. The best promoter in boxing.
Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is the worst. Eddie Hearn is the absolute worst, son.
And guess what?
What? Pretty Ricky Conlon wins the belt.
We are flying right now. We are flying. The UK is flying, baby.
Robert, what are we going to do with this guy, man? What are we going to do here, man? We got to. U.S. has got to get moving here, man.
The U.S. has to step up to the plate and knock some of these guys off.
I know. Well, they got to fight some competition first, I guess. The English guys got to fight some competition. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Nah, this was a good fight, man. This is I was really pulling for Bellew in this one, man. I was glad. From everything I read and everything like that, man, it was a good fight. I'm so glad Bellew pulled it out though. But I don't know, that Michelle Rocco and Ricky Burns fight, man. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one.
I mean, Ricky Burns beat the Italian stallion. You got to give him credit. That's the Italian stallion. You can't make light of the Italian stallion. Even the great Beef has Italian blood in him.
Okay.
Lebanese Prince has Italian blood in him.
The Lebanese.
Do we have any phone callers? Right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Robbie. We sure do. On the phone with us right now is our brand new writer at Ringside Reporter. His name is Stephen McCowan. And Stephen, are you there?
I'm here, man. How you people doing?
Good, man. How are you? Good to have you. Good to have you aboard.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm big fans of the Beeb and Ringside Robbie and new fan of yours now.
Awesome.
Thank you, Steven.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. So what did you think of the fights this weekend?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I haven't been able to watch them yet. it's been a busy end of the week. So
it's Memorial, right? It's Memorial Day weekend. That's a tough one, man. I tell you, it's funny. We had all these fights in the show on Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, it's I can definitely understand that.
Hey,
sure.
From what it sounds like, except for what the Beep's saying about the UK card, and what it sounds like is this show right here is the top of the weekend right here, right?
Hey, the UK has been bringing it here lately, so we got to give it.
Robbie, don't try to jump on it now, baby.
I'm gonna have to get Beeb to give me a voicemail message, man, so I can. UK baby.
There you go.
I'm actually going to be creating a ringtone. UK baby. That's my new ringtone.
That's right, man. That's right.
It's just God Save the Queen. That's what it is. Ringtone,
Ringside Robbie can come in and say you're higher than a motherfucker.
No, that's only from Mike Alvarado.
Yeah,
that's right.
But yeah, man, I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad you guys let me in. I'm big fan of you guys. Thanks a lot.
Well, hey, we're glad to have you.
And we appreciate you calling
so much,
in.
Robert.
He's already wrote a couple of articles for us. Go to the website and check him out. And Stephen McCowan, he's got a whole lot more coming. So, and again, man, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you writing for us, man. It's an awesome thing, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. I got a lot more. Like I said, the end of this week's been crazy, but I'm getting on a roll, and we got a lot more coming.
Absolutely, man. Big fights coming up. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news stories, so we'll look forward to it, man.
Oh yeah, the Vargas fight coming up is going to be awesome. I think I'm really excited about that. There wasn't nothing really this weekend that I was going to jump at, but things are coming up, and I'm excited about this summer especially.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And I'm going to have to check out that what was it, Bellew?
Go on my Twitter timeline. Go on my Twitter timeline. I tweeted out all the fights. Everyone, thank you, EJ Boxing Live. Thank you, Davey Boy Essex. Shout out to all my UK brothers overseas. I love you all. And go to the Beat timeline and click on all these fights. Wingy Boxing, another one of my brothers over in the UK. Shout out to Wingy Boxing. I love you, Wingy. Just check my Twitter timeline right now. I have all the fights.
You had to get them started, didn't you, Steve?
Hey, I'll definitely. Yes, I did. Hell yeah, man. I definitely will be. I'll check out, man. I've been checking out your stuff about the Russian deal, and I'll definitely check out those fights as soon as I can. Hopefully tonight.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for calling in, man, and welcome aboard, man. We're so proud to have you. Absolutely.
Hey, man, I really appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much. It's a great show.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Wow, you didn't even welcome him in, Robbie. Look at you. Just
you didn't
even welcome him in. That's cold-blooded, man. That's cold-blooded. He's one of my brothers
in.
now, and you just sit there.
Hey,
man. That's messed up, man.
Listen to the playback. I did welcome him.
Get him, Robbie. Get him.
All right. Listen, this got tweeted to us, man, from the Haymanites. This is a really good, and you guys follow the Haymanites on Twitter, man. They're the funniest group out there. They have a lot of memes and stuff like that. They're really cool. Out of all the UK champs, he poses the question. They pose the question. Out of all the UK champs, how many besides Kell Brook do you think are at the top of their division?
That's a great question.
I think Bellew. I think you got to put Bellew up there. I mean, because that was a good fight. I mean, Bellew's got to be up there. I think, especially in the cruiserweights. Kell Brook,
Tyson Fury, James
Tyson Joshua. I think Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Joshua big time.
I think he's got the brightest future because he's only 26.
Terry Flanagan is by far the best lightweight in the world, by far.
Oh,
come on,
okay.
man!
I love Terry Flanagan. He's awesome.
Flanagan. Ramses Bartholomew. Let me tell you what. Ramses Bartholomew will wipe Terry Flanagan, son.
Never.
Anthony Crawler. Anthony Crawler's good. I would even go, but he's going to get wiped out by Bartholomew too. So yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of my.
Carl Frampton's the best 122-pounder. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, we'll find out when Leo Santa Cruz and him fight.
Carl Frampton.
Yes.
No.
I love Carl.
The best 122. Guillermo Rigondeaux's the best 122.
No, I don't think so.
Vasily, you think? Okay, so if he moves up to 126, and Carl Frampton again, he moves up to 126. him and Leo Santa Cruz is going to be a good fight. But I think Vasily Lomachenko wipes both of those guys out. I think Gary Russell wipes Frampton out.
No way.
Oh, get out of here.
No way.
Gary Russell kills that guy, man. No way.
He's the real Jackal.
He's the Jackal.
The real Jackal. He's the real Jackal. He's got the real Jackal.
The real Chacal's in Tijuana. That's the real Jackal. All right.
He's on fire this week, man. He's on fire.
I didn't take my Ritalin this week before the show. Excuse me.
Your boy Billy Joe Saunders at 160. You gonna say he's the best middleweight?
Hell no, he ain't.
I'm not gonna go that far. I have to give Golovkin his props. I mean, a lot of people want to hate on Golovkin, and people think that when I want Golovkin to move up to 168, I'm hating on him. No, I'm actually giving his prop. I'm not hating. Yeah. I'm appreciating because I think he's that good that he could compete at the higher weight class.
Well,
I think he's that good.
Joe, in my opinion, he's going to dominate 160, and he's going to totally dominate 168.
Yeah, but he's not dominating 160 right now. He's decimating it. Decimating it. It's not.
And let's keep going.
All right. So Haymanites, to answer your question, I got Anthony Joshua in the heavyweight division. He's got a clash with Deontay Wilder. Yeah, he's going to kill Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder, my boy, Wilder's friend of the show, son. He's going to wipe out Tyson Fury. But now I don't know who wins between Joshua and Wilder. I think they both need a little bit more seasoning, so by the time they meet, they'll both be good. Not that they're not good now, but I think Anthony Joshua is a really good one. Also, too, one we won't forget, James DeGale at 168. I think he might. He got Callum Smith, the other one. Callum Smith's coming up, too, man. He's another good one. But I think James DeGale
James DeGale is going to have to deal with Jack the Ripper, and I don't know if he can
if he can do that either. But right now, he's the best. You know, if he beats Jack the Ripper, then you got to give it to him, man. He's the best 168 out there. And then,
they're going to fight. They're going to fight in September or October, man.
And then Kell Brook, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because you talk about Terry Flanagan.
Brook could be the best. Yeah. Arguably Kell Brook's the best, right?
Yeah. I mean, in all sincereness, man, you talk about Terry Flanagan, he would get wiped out by Rancis Bartholomew.
Never.
No, he get killed, son.
And by the way,
the Jackal. Let me tell you what, the Jackal is going to get blown out. He's probably going to get blown out by Santa Cruz.
The Jackal's he's the real Jackal with the real.
And by the way,
he'll get killed by Rigondeaux. He get killed by Santa Cruz. He get killed by Gary Russell. He'll get killed by Lomachenko. He's number 5 on that list, son.
I think Rigondeaux should pay Kyle Frampton royalties for taking his name, the Jackal. In my opinion, I would sue Rigondeaux for taking that name, the Jackal.
By the way, Kell Brook is going to pick up another belt, so. Because that belt's going to be handed to him in August.
I don't know, man. I'm rolling with the Mexican on that one. I like it. I'm rolling against
Kell Brook. I'm going for Special K all day in that one.
No. Robbie's jumping on the bandwagon, son.
Hey, Jesse Vargas ain't nothing.
Eric, you taking Vargas?
I'm going to take Vargas. Yeah, I'm going to roll with him.
Oh, you better put money on that because he's going to be a dog. He's going to be a dog in that one.
Yeah, he sure will.
He's going to be a dog. He's going to roll over and play dead like he's supposed to.
All right, Robbie. Let's not get
That's messed up, man. Wow. All right, let's talk about the upcoming fights. Hey, speaking of the best fighter, one of the best fighters in the world, Rancis Bartholomew is going to fight Mickey Bay on Spike, PBC on Spike, June 3rd. That's going to be a good fight. That ain't no pushover fight. That's a good fight, man.
That's 9 o'clock Eastern, folks. 9 o'clock Eastern.
Very good fight there, man. And then on Saturday, the big ones. You got Arthur Betterby versus Ezekiel Maderna, 12 rounds light heavyweights. This is the PBC on ESPN Deportes, and it's also on ESPN Deportes, June 4th from Montreal. And then Bryant Perella versus David Grayton, 10 rounds welterweights. And then Jamonte Clark. That's a money team guy, isn't it? Jamonte Clark, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Yeah, he's fighting dreaded TBA. So we'll see how he goes. At least I don't have him listed right now. Now, the big one from Carson, California, Robbie's stomping grounds. HBO. For the championship of VADA. All right, Francisco Vargas versus Orlando Salido, 12 rounds for Vargas's WBC junior lightweight title. I got to tell you, man, this fight shouldn't even be coming off. Shouldn't even be coming off.
I was really excited about this fight when it was first announced, but now I can't get up for it anymore.
No. Not after that. Not after that. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this as far as should the fight be coming off?
To be fair and be consistent, WBC postponed one fight, and they didn't do the same for this fight. So in the sense of fairness, this fight shouldn't be coming off. Yeah, so all you people that want to say that the Beeb is biased and he's just attacking Alexander Povetkin, and whatever you want to say, I'm being honest. If you want to, you sign a contract, and VADA is part of that contract, and you fail the VADA test, then it is what it is. Right. It is.
And I find it very disappointing because this has the ability to be one of the fights of the year. I mean, that's why I was so excited about this. But now, how can you get up for a fight when one of the guys failed a test? And how is this fight being allowed to go on? I will never understand that.
No, and we went over the story about why it's been. It still doesn't make sense on why it's able to go on.
Eric, I listened to you, and this is the thing. Sometimes people can listen to other people and be enlightened. And the Beeb can be reasoned with. Everyone says the Beeb's a hardhead.
The Beeb can be reasoned with.
The Beeb just has his opinions, and he thinks he's always right. And I went into this thinking one thing, and Eric very intelligently explained why he thinks this fight shouldn't go on, and I agreed with him. And Eric convinced me of this, not because I'm easily convinced of things, not because I'm weak of mind. No, because I'm open-minded and I listen to intelligent information when it's presented to me. So if you present intelligent information to the Beeb, I can be swayed in your opinion.
Unfortunately, guys, next Sunday we're going to have to talk about this fight on most of the show. And how can we talk about a fight that has this big a cloud over it, and yet it might turn out to be one of the best fights of the year?
Well, let me ask you guys this question, because obviously Vargas is the favorite here.
Yeah.
But this has the ingredients to be a barn burner because of the two styles.
Yeah.
Now, I think I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I think we all are picking Vargas. Is that correct?
I think so, man. And Salido's coming off those two losses, isn't he? I mean, he's coming off he's coming off the two losses to Martinez, man. I'm more interested in the Martinez Lomachenko fight, honestly. But
really, okay,
yeah. But honestly, man, I think that Salido, it's not an open and shut book here. I think Salido does have a good shot. No. It's not like he's gonna, I don't expect him to get run over. I don't expect him to win, though.
No, I don't expect him to win either. I think this is like a 70-30 fight, and then you're saying, well, Beeb, if it's a 70-30 fight, and when I say 70-30, I think it's 70-30 for Vargas. But you ever see those fights where, a guy can win the majority of the rounds, but each round is so hard fought but that the fight is competitive because each round is hard fought? So I think it's quite possible Vargas can win the majority of the rounds in this fight, win an 8-4 fight, but he's going to have to go through hell and back to win those 8 rounds. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like, at the end of the day, the round is scored 10-9, but that 10-9 doesn't always tell you the story of how you got to that 10-9, in other words. So this could be one of those fights where, every round is going to be hard fought, and Salido's going to have his moments in every round, but he's just not going to win them all.
I think
that's the kind of fight I see, where he has his moments, he just doesn't do enough to win.
Is that a good analysis, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think this fight has the potential to be like 7-5. And the unfortunate thing is we're going to hear the HBO characters, build this fight up and talk about why it should go on, and that's going to be filtered throughout the broadcast. Mark my words.
Okay.
You know how Max Kellerman and crew like to sell things. I can just see them doing a sell job during this broadcast.
Well, again, this is my opinion. I suspect that they may mention a little bit about that whole VADA incident, but I think they're not going to try to make it the focal point of the broadcast.
Guarantee it's not going to be a focal point. Guarantee it's not even going to come close to being a focal point. They're not going to want this that cloud around it because they know people have been talking about it. And you know what kills me about this whole thing? It's just been covered up. You heard one time, and then we're talking about Povetkin and everything like that, and we'll get to him in a minute. But the whole deal, it's just been covered up, and it's just so irritating that that this fight is allowed to go on. This is just garbage. This is just a garbage. There's no reason for it.
And can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why aren't all these people that are defending Povetkin, right, and sticking up for Povetkin, why isn't anyone saying anything about how Salido has to fight a guy who failed the test? Why isn't there any outcry about this? Why aren't all these Povetkin defenders? Why aren't they coming out and criticizing Vargas?
That's what kills me. I have no idea, and I criticize the WBC for all of this because they're the ones that close the door. And again, you kind of wonder about it. Because Salido said, "Yeah, let's go along with the fight." Did Deontay Wilder say, "No, let's not fight"? I don't know. I know his handlers. If I was his handler, put it this way: if I was his handler, I wouldn't be crazy about fighting him. But again, I've got the heavyweight champion, and I can go defend my belt another time where I want to defend it. Down in Tuscaloosa or wherever. I can go defend it at home for X amount of dollars. Orlando Salido, he didn't really have that option.
No.
It's not like, what is this, 126 pounds or whatever, or 130 pounds, I'm sorry.
Because Vargas is the champion, so as a challenger, Salido doesn't have the option.
He's coming off of 2 losses. He's coming off of 2 losses. What is his manager going to say? You know what I mean? I'm going to protect you and get you some other guy? He's got to fight for the fight. He's got no choice on this. That's why, to me, it's garbage, Why he still got that title is garbage,
Well, let's go back to the whole Wilder thing, and let's compare and contrast here. So, do you guys think that Wilder's team was the one that contacted WBC and said we're adamant about not wanting this fight to go on, or you just think the WBC made this decision autonomously?
No, I don't.
I think all sides agreed here. I think Wilder had a say so, and I think the WBC had a say so.
So you're saying, in your opinion, Eric, and again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot at all.
No,
I'm just
fine.
saying, in your opinion, you think if Wilder said to the WBC, I don't care about this test, I still want to fight him, you think the fight would have went off? Out of here?
Absolutely. Of course it would have.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you know what? That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Because, like I said, man, if Wilder said, you know what, I could care less. Find him some of his purse, whatever, I want to, I'm fighting him, This fight's going off. That fight's going off in Russia. But I guarantee you, but if you ask Wilder, I'm sure he said, I don't care, I'll fight him. But what happens is his handlers are there. You got a bunch of, as a fighter, granted you get the final say, but then at the same time, if you have the final say and you're smarter than everyone, why do you have the handlers around you? This is why you pay these guys.
Remember, Al Heyman and crew lost a purse bid. So I bet you when they had the opportunity to get out of this fight, they took it.
Right. Well, of course. Who would you rather fight, Chris Arreola or Alexander Povetkin for the same amount of money? You know what I mean?
Well, is he going to get the same amount of money, though?
Well, he won't. He may not get the same amount of money, but I'm sure it's not going to be peanuts.
No.
Not for the heavyweight champion. He's going to get a good payday regardless.
He was supposed to get 4.6 for the Povetkin fight. My guess is if he fights Chris Arreola, he'll probably get $2 million.
Yeah, well, still nothing to sneeze at. He's still going to pocket probably $1 million out of that.
Yeah.
So
and he can have that fight in Alabama, and it'll be another Saturday night party in Tuscaloosa or wherever.
And not to mention all the advertising and everything like that. He's not going to get any advertising for a fight that may or may not be televised over in Russia. He comes home, he's got advertising, he's got this, he's got that. So in addition to the $3 million or $2 million he's going to make, he's got all this other income coming in. So it's a better deal for him to say, hey, let's get out of Russia. And I'm not saying, again, it's a business decision, but I really believe that was the case, though.
Yeah, and besides, if the WBC does what it's supposed to do, they'll suspend Povetkin, and they'll put somebody else as the mandatory challenger.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Povetkin, we'll talk about that in a second. But, yeah, Povetkin is on his last legs to be the mandatory. But,
because remember, guys, remember, Povetkin avoided Wilder because he took a money fight in November. Remember that?
Right.
So, he really didn't want – I don't think he really wanted this fight, to be honest.
I don't think he did either. you know, because, again, he avoided it twice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So we all agree that Francisco Vargas should beat Orlando Salido. It may be.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a good fight, but you know, I think Vargas wins. Robert, here we go again. Liam Smith from Liverpool, England. Liam Smith versus Predrag Radosevic. 12 rounds for Liam Smith's WBO junior middleweight title. I'm really excited to see this one, man. I really am. I want to see Liam Smith fight because I want to see how he does in here, because he had talked about a possible matchup with Kell Brook. I don't know that fight comes off. Beeb, what do you think?
Well, Canelo is mentioned to want to fight him also. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, Liam Smith has a lot on his plate in front of him. He could either fight Canelo or he could fight Kell Brook. 2 huge fights. So, you know, Liam Smith has that style where he looks beatable because he likes to engage. He gets hit at times a little bit easier than, you know, you would think he should be for being such a top-level fighter and being a world champion. So I think a lot of fighters see that, and they say, hey, you know what? This guy's vulnerable. I can take him out. So because of that, and not only that, because he's an exciting fighter, I think he's a promoter's ring as well. So he has a style that presents a lot of upside in many different ways. And, you know, I think a guy like Canelo would love to fight him. And I think a guy like Kell Brook would love to fight him because it would be a title shot. And it would be looked at as a very winnable fight. So, yeah, I think that Liam Smith is in a position now where he's going to be in a big fight pretty soon.
Wow, very good.
Very
good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What else is on the docket here? Nothing really. That's pretty much it. Those are the big fights. I mean, we got a couple from here we go. From Italy, Matteo Singani versus Dmitry Chudinov, 12 rounds for the vacant European middleweight title. Let's see here. What else? Andre in Cancun, Mexico, Andres Gutierrez versus Christian Mijares, 12 rounds featherweights. And short of that, we got nothing else, man. We'll have to wait till next week, man. So
next week.
There we go. So short weekend on fights, but a good weekend on fights. Maybe not as good as this weekend, but we'll have to see. All right, you can call us at 323-870-3857. Let's move on to the news and rumors here. All right, so Alexander Povetkin's B sample came back, and it's positive. Povetkin's mandatory shot at the heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder, scheduled to take place May 21st in Moscow, was called off after his A sample came up positive for meldonium 9 days before the fight. The sample had been taken with a random urine test conducted by VADA on April 27. Povetkin, of course, has his B sample tested, and of course he had the dirty PP again because it came back his B sample was obtained, and that tested positive for meldonium too. So the WBC is still investigating the situation because nothing says crack investigation like the WBC. What exactly is there to consider here? He cheated. Suspend him. What is there to consider here? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's time to suspend his ass.
He cheated.
And put somebody else at number one.
And I've heard all this nonsense about there was only so much in his system and he was allowed. Listen, it was in his system. He cheated. This is the same thing like the clenbuterol. It was in his system. He cheated. Get him out of here. This is what VADA's here for.
Hey, there's no excuse for either one, people. No excuse.
I don't understand. I don't get it. This is why you want VADA here to clean up the sport. They're here, and then all of a sudden we're going to make excuses for the fighters. There is no excuse. You know, as a fighter, you know what you're putting in your body. Meldonium, crack, whatever. You know what you're putting in.
Yeah, and we have another one this week that we'll get to here in a few minutes that also did the same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly, man. So, Beeb, what's your take on this, man?
Well, a lot of people are pointing to this 70 nanograms, and it was under the 1 microgram limit. But what people are failing to realize is if you go to the WADA document, which states the rules about this drug meldonium, the rule is that if a test is taken on or before March 1st, there's an allowance of 1 microgram or under. And allegedly, the only source that says that he only had 70 nanograms is his promoter. Ryabinsky. So, I mean, that's the only source that we have of. But what people are failing to realize is that was up until March 1st. These tests were taken in April. So what it does say in the document is if after April the tests do come back positive, then an investigation can be done by the sanctioning body or the sports organization in charge of the athlete or whatever event the athlete is partaking in. So an investigation can be done, and I guess that's what's happening right now. Supposedly, let me finish, Robbie, please.
Okay.
Supposedly. So, again, where is this miracle evidence going to come from is what I'm saying. How could you have 3 negative tests and then out of the blue have a positive test? How could it be missed in 3 tests and then just come up again in the 4th test? So it's going to be hard to produce evidence to suggest that this this drug was not taken at some point this year. So that's all I'm saying. So they can investigate all they want, but I don't think Johnny Carpenter's going to come out of the grave and rise up and say, try on this glove, Povetkin, if it doesn't fit, you must have quit. I don't think that's going to happen here.
And remember, this drug was added to the banned list January 1st, 2016. So
we all know that. Yeah.
There's no excuse here. Suspend his ass and move on.
That's the thing, man. I mean, it's in your system. This is what VADA's here for. If you're going to bring VADA in, which clearly they're doing, if you're going to bring VADA in, then you got to use them. And all this BS about, it's a nanogram here. Listen, it's in your system. It's not in normal people's system, okay? You took it.
Yeah.
It's clear you took it.
Well, not only that, too. There's so many scenarios that could have happened here. Could have microdosed. He could have taken just enough. He could have taken it and then taken a masking agent, and the masking agent only kind of covered up a certain portion of what was in the system, so that's why it showed such a low amount in the system. There's so many possible scenarios with the technology and the science out there. There's so many ways to beat drug tests. So maybe he just miscalculated and he got caught. But let's get back to the Francisco Vargas situation. So the WBC dropped the ball there. So are they going to drop the ball again here? So they're going to is there going to be a precedent basically where they're just going to have VADA involved, but when VADA gives you positive results, if you're just going to disregard what VADA sends to you,
it kind of looks that way.
Right.
So it kind of looks that way.
So if you screwed up on the Vargas situation, and then you go ahead and screw up on this one. So isn't there more pressure now because a lot of people think they screwed up in the Vargas situation? A lot of people have been critical of the WBC for allowing that fight to go on. So isn't there some sort of pressure now for them to do the right thing now in this instance, or no? Am I out of line for saying this?
No,
you're not.
I think there is, absolutely. I mean, I think there absolutely is. They have to do something, and I mean, this is, the Vargas fight, the Vargas-Salido fight is, it's a big fight, but it's not. This is a big fight. This involves a heavyweight champion of the world, So they've got to do something here, and this is why they're like I said with Povetkin and everything like that. What I don't understand about it is, look, the evidence is right there. What are you conducting an investigation for? There's nothing more to investigate. His B sample came back. What do you investigate?
Suleiman said that he was waiting for the B sample, so I think that was a big part of the whole process. So at some point next week, I anticipate some type of announcement. What do you think the outcome is going to be, Eric? Do you think there is going to be a suspension? Do you think that
there has to be. There has to be.
Yeah, I don't see
unless Rabinski puts a whole lot of money. Unless Rabinski puts a whole lot of money into the WBC, he's got to get suspended. And what happens to Wilder's? And I wonder what happens at the same time to Wilder's $4.6 million he was supposed to get. Because of this. I mean, is he entitled to that money because he didn't fight? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
He should be.
Yeah.
But
he did everything he was supposed to do.
Another thing you have here, you have Victor Conte coming out and defending Vargas.
Don't talk to me about Victor Conte. Yeah, he's another crook. He's the same. This is the same guy that came up with beating the VADA test, and now all of a sudden he's gone legit. Now all of a sudden he thinks he's legit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still getting around him. He's another one that I have no respect for.
He's not too legit to quit. Okay.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, he's another one. Wilder, on the subject of it, Wilder claims thousands of fighters are doping. He said this is probably just 1 in 100 fighters in the heavyweight division, and we're talking about all division. This is probably one of thousands. They just haven't gotten caught yet. Wilder said, I'm very disgusted. If they had apologized and manned up, then I would believe in second chances. He said it's the fight business. People get nervous, and I understand trying to do something spectacular for your country. He went to the depths of cheating. But they didn't man up and apologize. As far as I'm concerned, there is no future for Deontay Wilder and Alexander Povetkin. He already chose his fate, and he chose the cowardly way, according to Deontay Wilder.
You know what? I hate to say this, but considering all the stories we've been talking about here, he might be right.
Absolutely. The WBC has now approved a voluntary defense for Wilder. They said that since he can't fight Povetkin, he has the right to make a voluntary defense. And, of course, the front runner for this is Chris Arreola. How do you feel about this one? You can call us up, by the way, 323-870-3857 if you want to talk. So we're talking about Deontay Wilder and Chris Arreola. I don't like this fight at all. I don't like the fact that Chris Arreola gets another chance at or gets a chance at all at the heavyweight title. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I think they could have chosen somebody better.
Well, I like it for the sole purpose that Wilder could put Arreola out of his misery and we never have to see him again, period.
Wow, that's cold-blooded, Robbie.
Wow, that's messed up. That's a human being you're talking about. What's the matter with you?
You got a mean streak. You got a mean streak in you, Robert.
Hey, I'm bringing it tonight, son.
Cold-blooded, man. You cold fish, man. Just cold.
Anyway, what do you think? What do you think, Beeb?
Chris Arreola's got to be one of the luckiest fighters in the world. I mean, this guy continues to get title shots and title. And you know what? And again, Chris Arreola is who he is. He has an exciting style. He can punch a little bit, but we've all seen him at this level. He
doesn't have what it takes to compete against Wilder. Yeah, as far as power, even just raw power, he doesn't have.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see him pulling this one off. It really is. So, at the end of the day, if you just look at this objectively from a match-making standpoint, it seems like an easy victory for Wilder.
Where do you think this fight takes place? I mean, if he does take Chris Arreola, where do you think it takes place?
Alabama.
You think it takes place in Alabama? Yeah, that's what I think too.
It's going to be an Alabama barbecue, baby.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be in Alabama. It's going to be in Alabama. Absolutely.
All right. Speaking on the performance enhancers, Lucian Bute tests positive for a banned substance. The WBC, again, has notified DC Boxing and Wrestling Commission about an adverse finding for the banned substance ostarine, maybe, in the post-fight anti-doping test for Lucian Bute. Bute challenged Badu Jack for the WBC Super Middleweight Championship, ended with a draw, which everybody knows Badu Jack won easily.
That's correct.
Now they're gonna go for this, and Lucian Bute, just the latest in a seemingly starting to be long line of people testing positive for performance enhancers. So
get out of here. I'm going. You know what? Congratulations to VADA. Keep doing what you're doing. Catch all these suckers. Let's clean up this sport.
Kind of makes you wonder. I mean, how many people? It's like now you're going to start seeing test after test after test and positives. I'm really anxious to see how many people are actually on this stuff. I've heard for years. We've all heard it for years in MMA and heard it in boxing that it's just riddled with it, and you kind of don't believe it until people start getting caught. And it's like, wow, I don't know, man.
Well, we're talking about 3 people this week alone, man.
Right.
It's really something that I believed a long time ago, that the majority of athletes at this top level are taking the drugs, they're taking the performance enhancers, they're taking steroids, they're taking human growth hormone. And I think there's many, many ways to get around the testing if you are taking these PEDs.
Yeah.
But the problem is now the testing's starting to get a little bit better. It's a little bit more intense. It's a little bit more regular. And it's harder for these fighters, I think, to kind of time when they're going to get tested, because before they were able to anticipate when they were going to get tested, and they were able to come up with certain remedies and certain strategies to be able to pass these tests. So again, this doesn't mean that just because more and more fights are being tested by VADA, still doesn't mean people can't beat the VADA test. But what you're going to see now, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, is now the ways of beating these tests are going to become more sophisticated. And
yeah, they're going to build a better mousetrap.
Exactly. I've always said that the technology and the testing will never be able to beat the athletes at the end of the day. There's always going to be a way to get around this, and I think the science will always beat the testing at the end of the day, in my opinion.
I do too. Look at Lance Armstrong. This guy won 7 Tour de France's, was tested regularly. I mean, for all those years, and they didn't catch him, and then finally they ended up catching him late. But all the damage had been done in the sense that he had won 7 tours. I mean,
Well, what's happening right now is this banned substance list is becoming really big now. It's really expanding. I think a lot of fighters were used to taking certain drugs and used to beating the test, taking certain drugs, and now some of these other drugs that weren't on the list, they're going to have to come up with a way to try to learn how to take these drugs and not get caught. And because WADA keeps expanding this list, you're going to see maybe a few tests here and there more so come up positive than you would before, because again, as I mentioned before many times, the list keeps expanding, and pretty soon you're going to have pretty soon you're going to have like things like supplements that you could buy at GNC and a vitamin shop on this list. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. At one point in time, caffeine was on this list.
Yeah, but you know what though? If that's the case, if you go to GNC and you're a boxer or just a professional athlete, and you go to GNC, if I'm a professional athlete, I'm running that thing through VADA. They've got to have channels to VADA. I would send the ingredients in. Hey, this is what I'm taking. Will this test positive? And they got to be able to. And if you're a championship, if you're a boxer, a championship level boxer at that, if you're not doing that, then you get what you deserve, man.
I'm secure that I'm almost positive they got a secure website you can go to if you're an athlete. There's got to be some sort of hotline you can call. I mean,
they can get in touch with VADA directly. I mean,
Well, the thing is this: it's like anything else. When you get an operation done, you get a medical procedure done, and you're being treated by a doctor. What's the first question he asks you? What are you taking right now?
Yeah.
What are the drugs you're taking right now? Because he wants to know, if there's going to be any issues with anything he may prescribe to you, if there's going to be any adverse interactions with certain drugs he may prescribe to you. He's got to know what you're taking to kind of be able to diagnose your symptoms, so to speak, and make sure that you're not dealing with any side effects from whatever you're taking. So, this whole VADA thing is the same thing. When you know that you're going to be VADA tested, I don't know 100%, but I suspect that they do give you a list of things that are on the banned substance list. I'm not saying that factually that that's what they do, but either way, you need to, let everyone know who's involved in the testing what you're actually taking before the testing starts. And even if you come up positive maybe for something that you didn't know was illegal, but at least you let the body know, you let VADA know that you're taking it, maybe you could get an inadvertent use exemption. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm not going to say a therapeutic use exemption, but they do have an inadvertent use exemption too. So I think the big thing is being open with VADA before the testing even starts.
If you're not transparent, if you're a fighter and you're not transparent on what you're taking, then hey, you're cheating. That's it. That's the long and short of it. And you can't claim ignorance. You can't claim, I didn't know what I was taking. Well, you may not have, look, man, you may not have known what you were taking, but you know what you were doing could create a positive. That's what you knew.
If you know how to read, you know what the hell you're taking.
Right. I agree, man. So, unbelievable. So let's move forward here. Floyd Mayweather is back in the news today. Money May living up to his nickname. Floyd Mayweather booked Drake for his daughter's sweet 16th birthday. Drake played at her birthday party along with the musician Future. Drake kicked off the night and performed his biggest hits, including #1 single, One Dance, followed by Energy and Robbie's favorite, Back to Back. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Hired Drake for his daughter's sweet 16. How about that, huh?
Well, when you got the cash that Mayweather is burning through, that's why he's going to fight again, people.
What's your favorite Drake song, Robert?
I don't have one. I'm not
energy.
a rap person.
It's energy. You know it's energy.
I like baby the best. Because you hold me down every time I come around. I love that.
Speaking of Floyd Mayweather, he's also pursuing John Jones, UFC champion John Bones Jones, may be becoming part of the money team if Floyd has anything to say about it. Floyd Mayweather is reportedly trying to sign John Jones. Floyd thinks John will sign. Do you think this is a good move by Floyd, trying to get MMA guys?
Well, hey, if you got a criminal record, go to Mayweather. He'll take care of you.
Robbie!
Wow.
Stop throwing the shade on everyone tonight, Robbie.
Oh, that's cold, man. This is cold fish. John Bones Jones, man, one of the best ever, man. One of the best to do it.
Yeah, who got in a car accident and left a pregnant woman needing medical attention. Get out of here.
Oh. Look at you piling on him. Look at you piling on him. Hasn't he? He's paid his debt to society. That's horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
Debt.
Some debt.
Robert.
Oh, that's horrible. I hate to even go into this next story with Robert in his rare form tonight, but we will. We're going to talk about the train. We're going to talk about the train wreck of the week. It involves the Cincinnati Zoo.
Now this is sad.
This is a very sad story. Very sad story here in Cincinnati over the weekend, Memorial Day weekend. A 4-year-old boy, I was told a 3-year-old boy, was at the Cincinnati Zoo and got into the gorilla enclosure. The boy fell into a 12-foot moat and was face-to-face with a 450-pound gorilla. You can actually watch the video on YouTube. It was nutty, man. The gorilla dragged the boy. He was in the water. It was so crazy. He's in the enclosure. And he's down in the moat, and they're videoing it. You know, why they're not calling for help at the time, I don't know. They're just videoing it. So they video this kid, and you see the gorilla just standing there. Next thing you know, he grabs the kid's leg and just drags him through the water. I mean, quick. Just drags him through the water. And then just, kind of settles down, and the gorilla actually stands the boy up at one point. And it looks like he's almost like he doesn't know what to make of him, almost like taking care of him. You don't know. It didn't look to me, according to the video, it didn't really look to me like the boy was in any danger aside from a 450-pound animal right on him. He didn't look like the gorilla was going to go, gorilla on him. But they ended up shooting the gorilla anyway because, you don't know. He's a wild animal, man. So the boy's in danger. He's in there. So, yeah, so the zoo personnel had to shoot him with at first it was reported whether it was tranquilizer, but it wasn't. It was actual gunshot, man. So they ended up having to put the gorilla down, and the boy was actually recovered. He was at Children's Hospital last night. He was released this morning, or actually released last night. And so everybody's okay, of course, except the endangered gorilla who was slain, of course.
Well, what's wrong with the security at the zoo, number one? And why didn't the mother pay better attention to her child?
Yeah, that's the kind of the $1 million question, man. And then the other question was, why weren't people tranquilizing the animal? And the long and short of it is, if they hit that animal with a tranquilizer and he doesn't go down right away, they said that he could have got agitated and then really hurt that boy. So
that's the argument for not using the tranquilizer.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, where on earth were the child's parents at, man? And not only that, what kind of security do they have at the zoo when a 4-year-old can breach it? I mean, a 4-year-old got past security and got into the gorilla cage, man. Lots of blame to go around on this
All
one.
I can tell you, Eric, is you and Lisa don't take your kids there.
I'll tell you what. You know what's funny is we got a season pass to the zoo. I have season tickets or whatever to the zoo. Isn't it season tickets or whatever we got or whatever? I show up and they let me in. That's the point. All right. And we've never. My kids have never wound up in the gorilla cage or anywhere where they weren't supposed to be.
Well, the two of you know how to watch your kids.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, Lisa, she's always off in Neverland, wandering around and stuff like that. It looks like I'm sleeping on the couch tonight, people. So yeah, exactly. But sad situation here in Cincinnati, man. And we decided to do this one. I know it's a non-boxing story. We decided to do it, man, because it's all over the news. I mean, they're reported everywhere on earth. So want to let you guys know, that's the deal. So very sad. But let's move forward and back to boxing, as Robbie would say. Nick Blackwell, who just fought Chris Eubank Jr., insists that boxing is a safe sport, even after dying. Nick Blackwell, who technically died after his brutal match with Chris Eubank Jr. earlier this year, before he actually was placed in a coma. He was actually placed in a coma where he came out and said that it's actually there's more dangerous sports out there than boxing. And, of course, he's right. He said that boxing is a safe sport. If you look at what happened to me, it shows how much boxing's come alive. He said on Good Morning Britain, he said, I'm back to 100% now, back to myself. There are a lot more dangerous sports out there, including rugby, F1, that kind of thing. He can add bull riding to that list, which is the most dangerous sport out there. He's back to 100%, which is good. Still insists it's a safe sport. Beeb, is it safe?
Boxing is a safe sport? No. I think boxing is a very dangerous sport, and it's become safer. There's been things done to try to make it safer, but no, it's not a safe sport. Absolutely. Anytime you're bashing someone in the head repeatedly, that's not good for the brain. I'm sorry, it's not.
Yeah,
good.
Well, I think
look,
go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, what you're getting into as a fighter. You know what the risks are. It's definitely not a safe sport, but that going into it. And, I understand why he wants to defend his sport, but, hopefully he can live a productive life, and, he's able to do that and be okay, because...
all you got to do is listen to a fighter say many times over. How many times have you heard a fighter say this? I'm going in there and I'm risking my life.
Right.
So I should get compensated properly for that. What other person outside of a soldier or a fireman or a police officer says those things? I'm risking my life.
Right.
Only a boxer.
Yep.
So.
And apparently there was some heat between Nick Blackwell and Chris Eubank Jr. Nick Blackwell said he was disgusted with Chris Eubank Jr. and his father for going on and doing interviews the morning of and while he was in the hospital and everything like that. But Chris Eubank came on and did an interview and said he's offering to give. He wants to meet with Nick Blackwell and give him his British title, his Commonwealth title, because he thought he earned it in that fight, which I think was pretty good. And I kind of defend Chris Eubank. I like Chris Eubank a lot. I like Chris Eubank Jr. a lot. I defend what they did because, there was a lot of heat being tossed on them after that fight, and I thought really Chris Eubank Sr. really saved him. So there you go.
Yeah, because Eubank Jr. could have ignored his father's advice and kept going for the headshots, and, Nick Blackwell might be 6 feet under right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Chavez Jr. said that he wants Triple G or Gilberto Ramirez next. Chavez Jr. is quoted as saying, Freddie tells me that I can confront Golovkin, Rosado, Ramirez, whomever I want. And at the end of the day, I beat them all, provided I am focused and well-trained. We hope to return at the end of July or August against Gabe Rosado, and then let's go against Golovkin or Ramirez.
I think he loses 2 out of the 3.
I think so, too. Beeb, what do you think about that?
I concur. I concur with Robbie.
Absolutely. Barry Hearn rips Amir Khan. British fight promoter Barry Hearn says that Amir Khan is no longer a viable fight following Khan's KO loss to WBC middleweight belt holder Saul Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas earlier this month. Is that fair? You think that's fair? I think he's a very viable candidate.
That's a bad statement to make. Amir Khan at his proper weight of 147 is very competitive, and he still has he still could fight people like Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. He could fight any of those people,
But it is coming from the best promoter in the sport right now, so you have to hold that with some regard.
It's not coming from, it's not coming from Al Heyman. I don't think so. I think Al Heyman is the best one in the sport, man. Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn, they go after it. Let me tell you
why.
But
Al Heyman's not a promoter, though. Al Heyman's not a promoter. He's a manager and an advisor.
He's a promoter. So.
Hey, let's face it, folks. Al Heyman does it all.
Yeah,
okay?
right. Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe I'm hearing Robert give Al Heyman props.
Yeah, he's better. Eddie Hearn protects his fighters, but in a lot of ways, so does Al Heyman. But he won't. Like I said, when he was talking about Brandon Rios, Kell Brook and Brandon Rios, which is a clear winnable fight for Kell Brook, he wouldn't give. I mean, he was going on and on about the contract and about. I mean, just not giving any concessions at all, not paying, not wanting to pay.
And remember, he wanted a rematch clause.
He's going to kill him, you know? He's going to kill that guy. All right, let's go to
Rios doesn't have anything left.
Exactly. Let's go to the phones real quick. Let's go to 978. I believe that's Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. 978, you're on.
That's Jimmy's corner. That's Jimmy. Hello?
978.
Jimmy.
Oh, and he just dropped.
Oh, that's
terrible.
Hello?
Yeah, we got him here. Hold on. 978, you're on.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can. Go ahead.
What's happening, Jimmy?
All right, what's going on, guys?
Not much, man. Not
Jimmy,
much.
I don't know why I'm having a problem with this phone. I just bought this one, too. You guys can hear me, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, excellent. Hey, great show, guys. Great show. I'm glad you brought up that gorilla, man. That was bullshit. Should have shot the fucking parents.
Right? Where were they at? Where were they at? Where were they at? That's what everybody was saying, man. Seriously. You know, look, man, I've been to that gorilla enclosure a number of times. I've been to the zoo a number of times. That gorilla enclosure is about chest high. How a four-year-old can get over there. And in the walkway, during the walkway, that kid was saying, I'm going to go in there with the gorillas. I'm going to go in there with the gorillas. He's 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever he was. And he's able to sneak past the barrier to get in there. How long does it take? There's a crowd at the zoo. It's Memorial Day weekend. There's got to be a billion people saw that kid pass.
Listen, scientists have proved wild gorillas in the wild are gentle giants. When he grabbed that child, they were doing that because instinctively that's what he did. He heard people yelling, they get riled up. He grabbed the way he would grab a regular gorilla. They don't do infanticide for the most part, which most mammals do. So it's not in their DNA to smash an infant. It would have been to protect it. Somebody was overzealous and they shot that animal. It didn't have to happen. It's not the first time a child has fallen into a gorilla cage. The last time the gorilla carried and brought it to a keeper. Plus those gorillas are habituated to humans. That was so unnecessary. That got me so fucking pissed off. I couldn't even stay on Twitter today. Glad you guys brought that up. That was just bullshit.
It was ridiculous.
But I'll jump back onto the you know what I mean, man? Just bullshit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, listen, Mayweather, man, I'm getting so tired of, you know, he waited till Canelo Khan, you know what I mean? And first off, got to give Hearn, I agree a little bit with that. Listen, guys, every time you get your lights put out, every time it gets easier and easier and easier. I'm telling you right now, that weak chin is going to go back down with him. I'll tell you, that Garcia shot was put out on, that was probably the best, hardest shot Garcia ever shot in his life, and he caught Khan. That put his lights out, and every time. That punch, when Canelo caught him, if you look at it, that was at the end of his punch. That wasn't at the 6-inch, elbows to the body, pivot on the hip, pop, turn over the fist. It wasn't right there like Hagel was perfect for that. Look at all his knockouts. His elbow's about 6 inches from his chest when he's making contact, and he's pushing through the jaw, putting the lights out. That punch was at the end of the punch, at the weakest point of the punch, and it put him out like that. I'm telling you right now, Hearn is right. That chin is going to be, it's like metal. Every time you bend a piece of metal in one spot, it gets weaker and weaker, and it just happens. So, yeah, I'm telling you, he's going to go down there, and he's going to get, if he goes up against a Thurman, come on. Any of those guys with any pop, they're going to put him away. And if he gets put away again, his career's done, so he better get a big payday on that. But back to Mayweather, guys, listen, you had run, you made more money in this sport. Unfortunately, you left a sour taste that's going to take a decade plus to get out of the casual fan's mouth with that stinker, which is Pacquiao's fault too. But to fucking sit there and be such an insecure little fucking douche and bring up your name to take away any light that Canelo's going, sitting there rubbing his hands. Oh, we're talking $100 million. Yeah, that's why he has to fight a guy in MMA, because he has to draw in those knuckleheads to get the fucking numbers up. Seriously, who in boxing? Who in boxing right now? Joe, listen, you guys are all in the sport. Right now, all bullshit aside, who could he fucking fight right now that would bring him $100 million? What?
Nobody.
Fucking
nobody.
Adam,
nobody.
Yeah, nobody. Adam's like, what, you going to go to Manila? Because Adam's like, I just lost $12 million on this fucking last fight. You think I'm going to lose $60, $70 million? You're high. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to pay that kind of money.
Well, that's why Aram said
90 seconds.
So he could recoup some of his losses, man.
Yeah, I mean, he lost. Listen, he made so much bank on that fucking disgusting 12-round sparring session. Give me a break. Listen, he's an insecure little bastard. No other sport listen, Gennady Golovkin, I understand he gets a demographic hate. I understand that. There's just certain, like Dougie Fish's article was fabulous. He nailed it. I don't know if you guys caught it yet. Read it if you haven't. But there's that hate against him. Listen,
60 seconds.
He's not running his mouth. He's educated. This is what boxing needs. You want it to be shown on ESPN. And it's not to do with skin color. I grew up watching Marvin Hagler. He was a fucking god to me. I'm a white kid from Boston, and Joe knows that. Marvin Hagler, you kidding me?
Marvin Hagler was shit. Everyone loved Marvin Hagler.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We used to drive down to Brockton, Joe, to watch him. We'd sit in that shitty old asbestos gym, and he would
that's correct.
And with his fucking hood on and smack that heavy 150-pound bag in half. No, it was great, but I never saw black, never saw white. But listen, Floyd beat women, convicted, done time. He's sitting there posing pictures in today's climate with a tiger on a fucking leash in his house. Like, why don't you go club a baby seal, you fucking douchebag? The man is a disgusting,
10 seconds.
Little prick, and he's not going to let boxing go quietly. He's going to continue to fucking send his name out the wrong, inappropriate times. But listen, that was my rant. I can't handle Mayweather anymore. You're fucking almost 40. You're not going to fight anybody, dude. You haven't fought any. You fought Canelo when he was green. He fucking picks. You know who's going to fight is Garcia. A frauding, not very cerebral fighter who's one-dimensional, that hook.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he does. He cherry picks.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Listen, when he was younger, dude, I used to like Floyd when he was pretty boy. I used to actually like him then. Then he got a few stripes. I didn't like back in 2002 he got that dude, but whatever.
Yeah.
But the shit he's been doing now, it's turned into just, posing with women, throwing money at them, having all these laying there with money all over him. He's 40 years old, dude. You start at 16, and you're still with strung out strippers grabbing cash off you. This is the face of our sport. Then you wonder why we're treated like a redheaded stepchild.
You know what's classic?
You
know what's classic is that he, everybody remembers this, all the stuff he does, and then he piles on. Then Mayweather piles on Adrian Broner for doing the same thing. And calls him immature and everything. Like, dude, it's the same thing. He did the same thing you're doing.
Listen, that's another thing, Broner. Broner would still be his crash test dummy if he would have won. The only reason he went from little bro to Broner the minute he fucking lost. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Now let's get the other kid who's that class move. Remember the kid he knocked out? I don't even remember. I don't want to know his name, but he knocked the kid out, the kid who fights for him in his stable, and he did a jig over him.
Ridiculous.
Oh, that was Ashley Steelman,
yeah, if I saw the kid in the street, I'd punch him in the face. That was so classy. You don't do shit like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Please. But look do you think his mentor or the person who's supposed to be in charge, it's just all that money. He was raised, his mother was a crackhead, his father and uncle beat women, and that's all confirmed. None of that's me talking shit. He was raised in a horrible life. He had a terrible childhood. And he put money into shelters, helping abuse women. He's just he's not a good human being. He's just not a good person. And the quicker he leaves boxing, the fucking faster it's going to be get back like it was when I was a kid, where everybody stopped when a fight was on. Joe, you could test to that, dude. And
that's
around where I live, everything shut down. Tyson fought, there was nobody on the street. It's got to get back. And the way it's going to get back, we're so busy fighting on fucking social media with each other instead of paying attention to shit like that. But listen, guys, I understand it's, Christ, past your bedtime, my bedtime. You guys are going to shut down, but sorry for the rant, gentlemen. Listen, great show. I'm a fan. I listen every week.
Oh, man, we appreciate that, man. Call back anytime, man. Absolutely.
That's right.
I will, guys. You guys have a great night, Joe.
All right, be good, brother.
All right, you too,
man. All right, brother Robbie, peace.
Take care, Jimmy.
Hey, Robbie, why'd you block me on social media?
I didn't block you.
Blocked him.
Yeah, dude, I went to follow you, dude. You said blocked. I'm like, I never even fucking knew that Twitter page. Maybe you unblocked me.
No,
I just wanted to ask you that.
You're not. No, you're not blocked, man. I don't
shouldn't be blocked.
I don't know.
If it is, I'll check it out.
Robbie Harris, I just went to follow it, but yeah, no, I went to follow you and I saw it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I did the wrong person, but hey, anyway, gentlemen, listen, great show.
No, well, we'll fix that.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely
take care
fix
of
that.
For you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Guys are doing a great show, man. You really are.
I
right.
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Be good, Jimmy.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And we're in overtime right now, so
that's fine.
All right, just to let you guys know we're in overtime. All right, so Andre Berto was interviewed by TMZ, and in more ridiculousness, he said he expects Triple G to beat Canelo if that fight ever takes place, and he wants to fight the winner.
Oh, my God.
What are the chances of that fight even coming off, you know? I mean, you know.
It looks like Andre Berto may fight Danny Garcia first, and I don't think he survives that.
Yeah, I don't either. You know, Jimmy brought up an excellent point, man, when he talked about when he was talking about Floyd Mayweather and about how the casuals with that Floyd Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. You know what? I've always likened that fight to. You remember when Major League Baseball went on that strike?
1994, I'll never forget it.
They went on that strike, and when they came back, it just wasn't the same for a while. Nobody wanted tickets because everybody thought they were just babies about it. That's kind of what it's like.
No, you're right.
That's kind of what it's kind of turning into, I think, and that's why you're seeing such low pay-per-view numbers and people just not interested in casuals, especially not really interested because of the garbage those two idiots put out. You know.
Yeah, but guess who's going to fix it though? Guess who's going to fix it?
Gennady Golovkin. That's who.
Heard.
No, guess who's going to fix it?
I don't know who.
UK!
Oh, good gosh, the UK.
we're fixing it right now, one step at a time.
We're fixing it. Listen to this guy.
Well, you know what, Joe? If that's the case, then all U.S. cable systems and satellite providers need to pick up Sky Sports and Box Nation.
I already have Sky Sports. I have a special feed in my house.
There you go.
I got Box Nation, too. That's what I'm going to say. I've got that. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right.
George Foreman and Mike Tyson both weighed in on pros in the Olympics. George Foreman stated, having been a past member of Team USA, I dislike the idea and see nothing good coming of it. It will only put the dream of ordinary boys and girls further out of reach. And I think he's got a really good point there. Mike Tyson, of course, called it ridiculous and foolish. And on that note, Manny Pacquiao will not compete in the Rio Olympics. Manny Pacquiao has decided that he will not compete in the Rio Olympics. I think a combination of his new duties as senator and public backlash may have played a role in that. So
that's correct.
There you go. And Ringside Robert was taking a beating this week for his history lesson for his podcast that he put out for railing against Canelo and Golden Boy and everything like that. We got quite a few comments on that. So if you haven't heard that, go download it and see what you think. I think Robbie was, I think he had some good points, man. I think, Robert, you had some good points on that.
Yeah, I did. Now, look, I'm not saying Canelo shouldn't take a beating, because he should. But my main focus of my rant was, you want to punish somebody, you punish the person making the decisions. And who is that? Oscar De La Hoya. So, my whole rant was, the next fight, whenever Canelo announces to fight David Lemieux or Curtis Stevens, whoever he's going to fight, and they want to put that on pay-per-view in September, send him a message. Don't buy the pay-per-view and don't buy tickets. And,
all right. Well, I got to take exception to a couple things you said on there.
Okay.
All right. So one is, so you said that if Canelo fights Triple G, you think Canelo's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I do.
Then why do we need to see that fight?
Because he was the supposed lineal middleweight champion of the world.
Right,
but
but he gave it up though. But he didn't give up the lineal title because he can't do that. Because that's like giving up your pound for pound championship. But he gave up the belt. He did what he's supposed to do. He said, "Hey, I can't beat this guy. I know I can't beat him right now." But whatever verbiage he wants to use, that's what he said. But we all know why he gave it up.
The problem is, Eric, Oscar comes from the Bob Arum school of boxing. Bob believes that if there's a big fight that's supposed to take place, you put it off, and you build it up, and you supposedly marinate it. Well, we're not barbecuing here. This is boxing. This fight does not need to marinate. This fight would be a sensational fight. It would be competitive. But overall,
you said it wouldn't
I honestly,
this fight isn't competitive until Triple G is 40 years old. I'm sorry.
It's not. It's not competitive at all.
It just isn't. Yeah. This is why everyone wants to see Canelo get a beating because of what he did after the fight, calling out Triple G.
That is correct.
And portraying that tough guy role. And now,
that is correct.
And now he's beating up some smaller fighters moving up. not true middleweights, and people want to see him get beat up because they perceive him as the bully and the fake tough guy. Let's be honest though. Nobody thinks this fight is competitive.
No.
Nobody.
I mean, you don't think this fight's competitive.
This is not a super fight. It's a super event. A super fight is a fight where two guys are on the same level, or they're at the top of their game, and they can make for a super fight. This is a super fight because one guy draws. That's why.
Right. Yeah. Leonard Hearns was a super fight.
Yeah. Well, look. Here's the way I look at this. Canelo would have been just fine just to say, look, I'm going to give this title up. I don't want to fight him right now. That's all he would have had to say. But the shenanigans he pulled after the Khan fight, when he goes in the ring and he says, we quote, don't fuck around in Mexico, let's get this fight on. I mean, why do you publicly say that when you damn good and well know you don't want to fight him? I mean, what is the point of that?
Well, here's the deal, too. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, he can say whatever he wants to say, but you and I both know, and all three of us know, that fight's not competitive. Triple G steamrolls this guy within 6 rounds.
Absolutely, he does.
All right, so why am I guess, going back to the original, it's an event. It's like Beef says, Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns, #1, that was a big event. That was a big fight.
That's a fight, okay?
Hagler Leonard, that was a big fight. Trinidad and De La Hoya, that was a big fight because both guys were undefeated. Both guys got recognized as being the best in the divisions, and then they fought. Here, we got a guy who's the best in his division, and he's got no other equal in his division. Canelo won't even be able to test this guy.
And see, that's the problem. Now, see, this is where I come in on this. Everybody jumps all over Gennady because of who he fights. Okay, in order for people to in order for the people who call all these talk shows and voice their opinion on social media, in order to shut those people up, Gennady's going to have to beat up somebody like this. And let's face it, he will beat him up because,
But if you're a Gennady detractor, but if you're a Triple G detractor, and I can come out and say, well, Triple G really hasn't fought anybody, which is nonsense. I believe he has. But let's just say, hey, he hasn't fought anybody. What's beating up Canelo going to do?
Well, you got a point, but I believe Gennady has fought people, and I think he's going to continue to fight people.
I mean, I'm saying, like I said, I mean, he's fought some pretty stiff competition. I mean, really, I believe he has. But the other thing I take umbrage with also too is that you said not to pay for it, but you're going to buy it.
I said in order to do my job, I have to buy it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Did you watch the Tony Bellew fight?
No, Eric, I didn't.
Right, I know you didn't. I mean, it's a rhetorical question. We know you didn't. We know you didn't watch any of the European fights, but you're still on here and you're still participating and you're still doing your job. So I would say, if we're being fair here, I would say if you're telling everybody to boycott it, then you got to boycott it. Because I don't think you would do your job any less effective. I really don't. You're awesome at the mic.
Okay.
I mean, you do very well, no matter what you do. Especially commenting and stuff. One fight isn't going to make or break you here. I mean, look. Remember when look at Andre Berto. Remember when Andre Berto and Floyd Mayweather fought? I didn't watch it, and I said, "Hey, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching this garbage," and I didn't.
Eric,
yes.
Yeah.
I think I found a new career for you.
What's that?
You would be an outstanding lawyer. You really know how to present an argument. You can talk the beam out of a tree right now, and no one you can do that.
That's right. No. Well, hey, Beeb, do you want to pay his law school fees?
Well, we can talk about that.
We'll work it out, man. We'll work it off air. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He should be a lawyer. This guy can really negotiate here. He can present the case. He's the only guy that I've met that can tame the beam.
I don't want to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a barrister. That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a barrister. There you go.
Honestly, those are my opinions, and
absolutely.
Robbie, you know what, Robbie?
Yeah.
Don't have to always agree with you.
No,
but you present a good argument. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. I don't have to agree with you, but also I don't have to attack you for having an opinion either. So I'm going to just say,
the other thing.
Yeah, I respect your opinion, Robbie.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the other thing, too, is what you say on the history lesson and everything like that. I love it. I love the show. I love everything about it. I love your opinions. You know, we don't always have to agree on your opinions. We're not always going to agree on your opinions, but I love it. No. I mean, look at this. We're talking about it. That's awesome, man. Great job on that show, man.
I'm using my show to promote this one. I want more people to listen. I want more people to call. So if I have to say something that people don't agree with, just so they can call in and argue with me, I don't mind.
Bobby, aren't you a little salesman?
Like the Don King of Ringside Reporter over here.
I'd rather be the Don King than the Al Heyman, okay?
That's right, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Speaking of promoters, Jorge Linares re-signed with Golden Boy.
Okay.
Good decision for him?
Why not? All right. You know.
All right.
Unless he had Al Heyman on speed dial.
He's number one lightweight right now. Number one lightweight. Anthony Joshua targets Tyson Fury for later this year. The main focus for Anthony Joshua is to win all the belts in the division. So that Tyson Fury is our main priority, Eddie Hearn told the Boxing News. That fight can happen in November, December, or next spring. I've already had some positive discussions with Peter Fury, who makes a decision with Tyson, and I honestly believe that fight can be made over a cup of tea.
Well, you know what? I think that would be a good fight for the UK, and you could put it in Wembley Stadium next spring.
Huge question for both guys.
Okay.
Because not too long ago, it was said by a lot of people that Anthony Joshua wasn't ready for Tyson Fury. Ooh. But seeing Tyson Fury recently kind of balloon up in weight, talk about retirement, not seem so focused, do you think they're going to strike right now? And this is the reason why they want to strike right now, because they feel the iron is hot.
Tyson Fury could become the next Buster Douglas here, man. Because, he didn't look like he's in great shape. I mean, even though he's out of shape, he's in better shape than I am, obviously. But, I mean, he didn't look in boxing shape, that's for sure, in that last press conference. Anthony Joshua, he looks like he's always in shape. He looks like a bodybuilder all the time, and he looks great in the ring. I mean, he's starting to put it together, man. And I think he might be ready for Tyson Fury. I want to see what he's got. I want to see him fight again. And I want to see him take on, I think he takes on Fury. And if he takes on Fury, man, and he wins, he's the man in the division, man.
Yeah,
I think he's got the highest ceiling right now of any UK champion, because he's only 26 years old. And I think the future is bright for him. I think most of the people he can be competitive with in the heavyweight division. And I'd love to see Fury and Joshua fight, say, next spring.
Well, I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm a big Tyson Fury fan, as everyone knows.
I don't know.
But what I've been seeing from him right now, I'm not really happy with. I don't like the fact. I don't like the fact that he's been, out of shape, grossly out of shape, and the way he's been talking right now. It seems like he's not really taking his career seriously, and if you are a Tyson Fury fan, that should worry you.
Well, I said he reminds me of Buster Douglas. I mean, he really does. I mean, with all the retirement talk. Remember how after he fought Mike Tyson and before he fought Evander Holyfield, they were doing the press conference, and he said that I think him and his wife reminded him of like the Cleavers or the Bradys or something like that, and he just wants to relax. And he completely was not into that fight, and he had ballooned up. Obviously, with the Holyfield fight, he had ballooned up and everything like that, and you just kind of wonder, man. It's like, is he in that same frame of or is this Fury being Fury? Who knows?
But does Vladimir Klitschko, at his advanced age, have anything left to bring out the weaknesses in Fury if Fury's not in shape?
Yeah, I think he might. I don't know. I mean, it'll be really interesting. Look, man, Klitschko didn't look good in the fight. Who did he fight in New York? Who was that guy?
Brian
Jennings. He didn't look good in that fight, and so I don't know. I mean, does he have enough? And honestly, Klitschko, he didn't look good against Fury, but Fury didn't exactly tear the house down against Klitschko either.
No,
it wasn't a close fight, but they didn't look great. He didn't look, It wasn't like Anthony Joshua looked, when he's knocking that guy out in the second round.
Remember, that's why HBO had the big debate. Well, do we want to carry the second fight because the first fight was so awful? but they have a contract to honor with Klitschko, so that's why they're carrying the second fight.
Yeah, they didn't want to take. I'm sure they didn't want to take this fight at all. Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Speaking of Anthony Joshua, he is actually the 5th most marketable athlete. Sports Pro Media released their annual top 50 most marketable list, in which I know everybody was waiting for, and Anthony Joshua is actually listed as number 5. Now listen to the names on this list. Number 1, Robert, who's number 1?
Good old Steph Curry, who's going to bring it tomorrow night, brother.
Yeah, well, he's going to lose it in the final, so don't worry about that. But Steph
Curry
is
number 1. He's number 1.
Steph Curry is number 1. Paul Pogba plays soccer in France. He's number 2. Now listen to this one. Virat Kohli, he plays cricket in India. He's number 3. Never heard of this guy. Yeah, right? Jordan Spieth, of course, golfer, U.S., number 4. And I'm surprised he was on number 4. And number 5, of course, Anthony Joshua. How about that, man? I mean, look at number 3, a cricket player in India.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, Joshua is going to become more marketable because Dominic Brazil is going to be sorry he ever steps in the ring. So.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough night for Brazil, man. I'll tell you that.
I'm glad.
Knocking out an American Olympian is not going to hurt Joshua at all. That's for sure.
Nope.
So, absolutely. All right, let's move on to our final item of the night here. Bob Arum offers to host the Trump and Sanders debate. So this all started, the idea of the debate was first proposed on Wednesday night when Trump appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And Jimmy Kimmel asked Donald Trump if he would consider it. Trump's response to Kimmel was, "We would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity." You know? So Top Rank gets involved, and Bob Arum, of course, says, "Yeah, well, let me do it here." Here's what he proposes. Top Rank will negotiate a site fee from a major U.S. venue for the debate. Top Rank will produce and distribute the debate on live pay-per-view throughout the U.S. Top Rank will distribute the debate via closed circuit to the establishments in the U.S., including, but not exclusive to, bars, restaurants, movie theater chains. 80% of the net proceeds will go to a charity or charities of the candidate's choice, agreed upon in advance, with a minimum of $20 million being donated. The moderator or moderators will be subject to the approval of the candidates, though Arum has recommended Secretary Hillary Clinton, Senator Ted Cruz, and Governor Mitt Romney. Wow. Would you pay for, first questions first. Would you pay for a debate?
No.
No.
I wouldn't either. It's kind of the voters' right to see it. Yes? I mean, I think, you know.
Yeah. You want to put on a debate, you put it on free TV.
Right, exactly. I mean, because people are voting for you, you know.
That's right.
The second, you know what I don't understand, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I've been following it pretty closely here, and Bernie Sanders is, way behind here. He's way behind Hillary Clinton here.
He might be catching up because in the California polls, and we vote on June 7th. Right now, it's neck and neck between him and Hillary.
Wow.
He may steal California.
Robbie said it's neck and neck in California between Sanders and Clinton. So my wife's a big Bernie fan. I'm a big Bernie fan. I hope he wins, but it's a tough, it's an uphill climb, that's for sure, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he wouldn't want to, debate Hillary, but I guess that's going to happen anyway.
I heard Robbie's voting for Trump.
I heard so. That's what I heard too. That's what I heard. Robbie's a huge Trump guy.
I already voted my absentee ballot, and I did not vote for Donald Trump.
Beam and Robbie voting Trump, baby. I love it. Love it.
I am not guys. A Donald fan, thank you.
Any final thoughts here in overtime? Beam, we'll start with you.
Ask me that question one more time. I apologize.
Any final thoughts?
Oh, any final thoughts? I'm very happy that we're back on top and we're continuing to grow here in the UK. We have 14 world champions, and with all due respect to Shane Mosley, I thought that we stole the show. Tony Bellew was the fight of the weekend. Once again, UK is flying high, and we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
All I can say is I hope all UK brothers and sisters are proud of Joe's performance this evening. Hey, it was a decent weekend of fights. the schedule's going to get a lot better. Even though next Saturday night I'm really soured on, But hey, we all have to deal with things sometimes we don't want to deal with. But we look forward to seeing you next week, everybody.
Absolutely, and hey, what do I have left to say except God save the Queen? There you go for all our UK people.
God save the Queen.
Can
we get a little God save the Queen action on the outro music or no?
No, we're not going to do it. We're saving it. No,
okay.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it. Not playing it. Not going to happen. No, we're holding the line. We're holding the line. I'm sorry, we're going to do it. We're holding the line. That's it. That's where I'm rolling.
All right, guys.
That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and listen to all the podcasts and fights. You can catch Joe Habib, English Joe Habib, on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 70.
I was going to say, and when you tweet him, hashtag
you just cut me off.
Yeah.
I'm over here getting ready to give my Twitter handle out. I don't give out yours. I'm getting ready to give my Twitter handle out, and you cut me off. That's cold-blooded.
Robbie's got too much caffeine in his system.
What's going on with him tonight, man? Right?
Sorry, Eric. Sorry.
Yeah, that's done now. Now. What's the point of giving my Twitter handle out now?
Ringside 73, everybody.
I'm at Ringside 73 on Twitter, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. Check us out on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com, on Twitter at Ringside73, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Ringside73. Subscribe to us on iTunes.